all alone at the top of contenders to try to run down Bryson Neal. We may see some other riders step up, but right now sitting in that number 2 spot in points coming into today with a 2nd place and a 4th place, looking down the barrel of another 2nd here today. He seems to be the heir apparent if someone's going to bring the fight to Bryson Neal. Ricky Tower saying, here we go, and here comes Bryson Neal. Perfect start to the 2026 GNCC race season, grabbing win number 3 here at Talladega Superspeedway. And look at that, all smiles for Bryson Neal. Doesn't even look like he did anything today. And here comes Wyatt Wilkin on the number 5. P2 on the day, P2 in points, and a very, very impressive start to the 2026 season for this young rider.
History in the making, the first XC1 podium. He fought for it and he got it. Put your hands together. Brandon Owens got to be fired up for that.
Feels amazing, man. Absolutely amazing. Start the year off 3 wins in a row. It's a hot start for this Phoenix ATV Yamaha racing team. Super proud. Really pumped to start the year off 3 wins in a row. Got another good start today. Anti-gravity batteries fired off great. Ken, the tires are awesome. This Yamaha from this Yamaha YFZ4DR with the help of Blue Crew, Donnie Lucy, Scott Newby, and Scott Yamaha. Thank you guys so much. David Eller and the whole entire Phoenix ATV team. Lonnie, Gary, everybody back at the shop. Dan and Brandon, Dassa, Jay Gold with Impact Solutions, Elka Shocks, Walsh Components. Thank you guys so much. Factory 43 Nerfs as well with Moose Racing Gear, Parts Unlimited. Thank you guys. Appreciate it. And, man, we're having a ball. We're having a blast.
Yeah, man, what a day. Oh, man, that track was old school, tight, bumpy, rooty, rocky. I don't know. Everything out there was rough. And the goal was to get a good start. And, man, that track's tight, like I said. And it's hard to make passes. And we got up front early. We went to the woods 2nd behind Bryson. And I looked back, saw B.O. and B.O. Rips had a local track, so he almost dang near got a podium here last year. So I knew us 3 were going to be ripping really well, and Bryson out front, I was just trying to toe off of him, and man, we were ripping. Yeah, just trying to copy, and Brandon was putting pressure, and I was trying to match Bryson, just not worried about Brandon, just match Bryson, figure out what he's doing, and yeah, we came in. The pit situation had me a little bit screwed. I wasn't sure if we were pitting, wasn't sure if we weren't. So when I come down through here, I was like trying to figure out if I was supposed to pit or wasn't or whatever, but lost a little bit of time there. And I knew Brandon pit, so just try to ride smart, and then I clipped the tree. And after that, he was just gone. Like I couldn't toe off lines. I couldn't lost him and burned some energy trying to get the bike back going and get away from Brandon. And man, I was just trying to get it move along. My girlfriend, my dad was giving me pit boards, just trying to keep me moving because I didn't expect it to be a 5-lap race. We talked to Barry Hawk before the race, and he was like, yeah, we're going to do 4. We're trying to keep it a 4-lap, whatever. For now on, we might try 5, and come through for 5. And I was like, holy crap, this is going to suck. But no, it was a lot of fun. I think on the end of 4th lap, clipped another tree, had to get off, push the bike back, but it was a good day. It was a good day. I'm glad to be back on the podium after a 4th place, so we'll take it.
Yeah, came into the weekend, we cycled the track, knew it was going to be super tight. Start's always crucial here. Yeah, we got to start, tried to put in consistent laps, made a little error with the pit, ended up pitting on beginning of lap 3, and yeah, just kind of set us back a little bit. I tried to make a push and ended up clipping 3 trees, just one wrecking me. I had to get off the bike every time, and yeah, pretty much remember just try to keep the guys at bay, kind of stay where I was at, and just ride it in for, try not to mess up a podium potential ride.
The crowd goes wild after cue. Let's hear it. Your XC1 Pro Podium from Talladega GNCC, baby. Braxton, Wyatt Wilkin, and Brandon Owens, a 1, 2, and 3. What a race. No problem bottles here for the Talladega GNCC XC1 Pro style.
Progressive Grand National Cross Country Series and AMA National Championship heads back to South Carolina for the FMF Camp Coker Bullet GNCC. Can Bryson Nill go 4 for 4 in 2026? It all starts now on RacerTV.com.
Are you ready to go GNCC Racing?
Hello everyone and welcome to round number 4 of the FMF Camp Coker Bullet. We return back to the sand. Johnny, who's it going to be here this weekend?
Man, you know, coming fresh off that race we just had in Talladega, definitely different conditions here this weekend, but we know that coming in hot, it's going to be the man who's 3 for 3, Bryson Nill, fresh off another win, our defending champion, and absolutely perfect here so far in 2026, but he's got some company. Wyatt Wilkin, second place finish at round number 3, and a great performance. You know, he's sitting in second in points, a lot of confidence coming into today. And then just 3 weeks ago in Alabama, it was the first ever podium for Brandon Owens, a rider that performed so well at round 1, very nearly putting himself on that podium, backing it up, finally getting his first career podium for that Sturtevant Power Sports Racing team. And he's coming in hot here this weekend.
Yeah, excited to see what Brandon Owens can do. We know he had a little bit of trouble in the sand there at round number 2. Now going to get some redemption here at round number 4.
Yeah, it's not just those guys that we're looking forward to that had great performances at round number 3. We know there's so many others that are going to be in the mix here. The Sandman himself, Hunter Hart, looking to bounce back from a rough performance, having some issues early in round number 3, fighting his way back up, earning some valuable points. We're going to have to keep an eye on Josh Merritt, Stephen Harrell, fresh off that podium in the sands of Florida just a few weeks ago as well, and the usual cast of suspects. They're going to be out there absolutely throwing down and giving us quite the show here today on Racer TV. It's going to be a battle. This track always shapes up very difficult. It's a hard track to read depending on how much moisture is in the ground. It can just change so much throughout the weekend. And I believe we had a chance to speak with last round's winner, our defending champion, and our points leader, Bryson Nill, to get his thoughts coming into round number 4.
The track this weekend, I love it. I love it. So this place is... It's got the sand. It's got like the beach sand like Florida. It's got white sugar cane places. It gets real deep and whoopy, but this place has got a lot of like roots and chop, and it's kind of like it's real choppy, like red bud in a sense, I guess is a good description. I love it. I love this place. I love the flow. I love the property. I love just hanging out in the woods and biking the track. This is usually one of my favorite stops on the whole circuit, and I love the facility, love the ponds, everything this place has to offer, and especially with the good weather we got for the weekend. This is always one of my all-time favorite tracks, for sure.
All right, good to hear back from Bryson Nill there. And without any further ado, let's hear from Wyatt Wilkin.
I can get used to these interviews, I'm not going to lie. It's cool. 2-4-2, definitely a good way to start the year. Obviously, I want to be in first or second as much as I can be, but this is a good start. Definitely got some momentum rolling, and just want to keep it going. I want to be on the podium. If I'm not, I'm frustrated. Florida was an outlier. That race is just, it's a different animal. And to be off the podium on 4th place, I was like, you know what, we can live with that. But any other race, I want to be on the podium, and it's going good.
Well, now we've heard what some of our top contenders for the race here today have to think about coming into this difficult Camp Coker track. Let's see a little bit of what it is that they're actually going to be facing out there. We had a chance to check in with Zach Herron and Jared Bolton for our Yamaha Racing track description.
All right, thanks, guys. Jared, here we are, another fantastic FMF Camp Coker Bullet. Looks like things may be a little different this year. Tell us what we've got in store.
Yeah, it's a little dry. You know, this place, when it gets dry, the sand makes things kind of challenging, gets a little loose, and gets a little rough. But the good news there, we've kind of mixed things up. You know, the bike guys get some special stuff just for them. The ATV guys get some special stuff just for them. And what that does is actually makes that bike track a little less rough. Gives those quad guys something that's a little less tight. And you know what? You know what I'm going to say? It makes something for everybody. Although, this does tend to be a little on the fast side in places. So, Camp Coker's a really good facility.
Going to be a ton of fun. A little bit of new in store, a little bit of change up, but still the same old Camp Coker we all know and love. Back to you guys.
All right, there you heard it from the trail boss himself. And without any further ado, it's time to go racing. We're going to throw it down to Zach Herron for some 10-second calls.
everywhere but the seat. The seat is leather.
Alan, we get it. You love your bike. We do too.
That's why we're America's #1 motorcycle insurer.
But do you have to wedge it into everything?
What? Don't do that.
This reminds me of my bike. The Wolf was about the size of my new motorcycle. Have you seen it, by the way?
Happy birthday, Grandma!
Really?
Look how the brushstrokes follow the line of the gas tank.
Hey!
Brought my +1. Jamie.
Progressive GNCC Racing is brought to you by Progressive. Progressive could save you hundreds of dollars on your automobile and motorcycle insurance. Specialized E-Turbo bicycles. It's you, only faster. Rocky Mountain ATVMC.com. Get ready.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we want to welcome you here to beautiful Society Hill, South Carolina, both here in person and fans all across the globe watching live on RacerTV.com. This is 4 of the 2020 Progressive GNCC season, the FMF full GNCC, and we are just about to introduce our starting lineup in accordance to point. Starting off the show, no doubt about it. He's been the man to beat this season. In Yamaha, he's out of Bidwell, Ohio. Braxton, put your hands together for the #1 to the line next. He's #5 machine. He's backed by Stewart Boys Race Performance. He's Ohio. Make some noise. Wyatt Wilkin. To the line next. That Phoenix Racing Yamaha Pierce Performance and Action Off-Road backed Yamaha. He's out of Waxhaw, North Carolina. It's the 712 of John Clauda Jr. Rolling to the line next. He's out of Elkridge, Maryland. He's on that B&R Motorsports Kenda and Fearless-backed Yamaha. He's at a solid performance. Momentum's on his side. Put your hands together for the 908 of Stephen Harrell. Rolling to the line next. He's on the Merit Racing B&R Motorsports and GBC-backed Yamaha. He makes his way out of Akron, Ohio. It's the #3 of Josh Merritt. Rolling to the line next. He makes his way out of Acme, Pennsylvania. He's on the Action Off-Road and Lone Star Racing backed Yamaha. For the #7 of Jay Shadron. Rolling to the line next. He makes his way out of Newfield, New York. He's on the HHR Fly Racing and Quad Tech backed Yamaha. It's the 318 of Hunter Hart. Up next, out of Walker, West Virginia. He's on the Sturdivant Racing, Maxxis, and Moose Racing backed Yamaha. He's had a breakout season so far in 2026. It's the #15 of Brandon Owens. Rolling to the line next, out of Sunbury, Pennsylvania. He's on the Action Off-Road, Amsoil, and CB Racing backed machine. It's the #9. It's Chris Borage. Rolling to the line next. He's a fan favorite coming out of Waverly, West Virginia. He's on the Obor Moose Racing, Parts Unlimited, and Lone Star backed Honda. It's the Gator, the 521. It's Adam McGill. Rolling to the line next. He's out of Casca, Pennsylvania. He's on the JMR, GBC, Elka, and Moose Racing backed Honda. Put your hands together for the #8 of Jared McClure. And last but certainly not least, for your XC1 row, he makes his way out of Salisbury, North Carolina. He's on the Phoenix Racing Yamaha back. is about ready. Now that you can hear me, shut the machines down. Shut those machines down. Society Hill, now you can hear me a little bit better. Let's see. Are you guys ready to go GNCC racing? All right, that wasn't too bad, but come on, guys. It's round 4. We got clear blue skies. We're racing year 51. Let me hear you. Are you ready to go GNCC racing? 10 seconds for row number 1, the XC1 Pro. Get to the row number 2. 10 seconds for XC2. Rhodes, Graham Weaver, Cooper Krug, Triple XO, Keegan Shago. Let's see. That's going to be maybe the 5.57 of Harrison Lindsay grabbing the whole shot. Jasmine McBee, Bryce Pullen, Andrew Smallwood, Landon Kassler, Jericho Edmondson, Noah Desiri, and Evan Ruckel all make their way out of that third row. Here we go. 10 seconds. Vet A, 28 plus. There they go, fire them up. Jeremy Ladon, Alan Blavos, Simon Morin, Mitch Muir, Dawson Cormier, Alex Elioff, Brian Gerhardt, Dallas Helms. Bruno, look at this. Myers and Todd Fiddler all in that row as well. Big class as they are still trying to get those machines unhooked. Here we go, blue flag waves. Senior A, 40 plus, coming up in 10 seconds. Flags up, Dirk Desiri, Matthew Hartwell, Jeffrey Pickens, Ben Dunlap, Chris Conklin, and Fred Marley all head into turn 1. It's a blue helmet. That's going to be the 303 of Jeffrey Pickens on that GBC Motorsports backed ride, grabbing the early race lead and opening up a gap as they head off into the woods. That's what I'm talking about. Here we go. 10 seconds, College B. Defford, Zeke Dale Cooper Kassler, Landon Clark, John Hancock, Connor Humphreys, Austin Harshberger, Ethan Bridgewater, Wyatt Bond. That's the fourth. No, that's the Harshberger grabbing the early race lead. Rodriguez, Ethan Barber, Austin Wilson, Jack Schaefer, and EJ Powers. Clean and clear start. 10 seconds. Here we go, Junior B, headed into turn number 1. Tristan Howell, Carson Tyler, Josiah Newton, Ryan Beebe. Let's see. The 5'7" of Adam Sanford, grabbing the Wyatt Mooney, Blake Moore, Dylan Bothwell out there as well. Looks like everybody clean and clear. 10 seconds. Vet B, 28 plus. Flags up. Tyler Miller, Carl LeBlanc, Dustin Cox, Barry Nicholson, Nick Statler, Chase Satterfield, Chris Carson, Laura Watson, Steve Shannon, Kyle Patton. Ooh, some bar banging there headed into turn number 1. Cody Catano, Levi Wilcox, James Carroll, Joe Rutherford, Zachary Huskinson, as well as Kyle Patton out there. One rider a little late into turn 2. Got a brief hold. They're having some problems just after turn 2. Got the machine fired up, spun back out, all clear. Here we go. 10 seconds. Senior B, 40 plus. Aaron Delancey, Joshua Howe, Nicholas Ringer, Ricky Lewis, Joe DeHart, Robert Perry, Steven Sharman, Justin Barker, Jeffrey Coons, Steve Keegans, Forrest Cross, and Craig Schultz. The 208, maybe the 250 of Joshua Howe. Leading them in and leading them out of turn number 1, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is a clean and clear start. You are free to move about, and we are officially FMF Camp Coker Bullet GNCC Racing. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we'll be back with the rest of round 4 for the 26th season.
Everywhere but the seat. The seat is leather.
Alan, we get it. You love your bike. We do too.
That's why we're America's #1 motorcycle insurer.
But do you have to wedge it into everything?
What? Don't do that.
This reminds me of my bike. The Wolf was about the size of my new motorcycle. Have you seen it, by the way?
Happy birthday, Grandma!
Really?
Look how the brushstrokes follow the line of the gas tank.
Hey!
Brought my +1. Jamie.
Every generation believes they've invented the best way. With age comes wisdom. We've come to realize that every piece of knowledge is learned, passed down from those generous and patient enough to teach.
Take a look.
Legacy. It's not about leaving something behind to be remembered by. It's realizing that the future lies within the next generation.
Let's call tonight. All right.
The nature of true progress is humbly building something bigger than yourself. Rocky Mountain ATV MC. This is our legacy.
Progressive GNCC Racing is brought to you by Progressive. Progressive could save you hundreds of dollars on your automobile and motorcycle insurance. Specialized e-turbo bicycles. It's you, only faster. Rocky Mountain ATVMC.com. Get ready.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Society Hill, South Carolina, here for the FMF Camp Coker Bullet. And we are officially off and racing as we view here from the Yamaha Racing live drone. My name is Jackson Burrow. I'm going to be alongside Johnny Gallagher to bring you today's action, as well as Zach Cairn, who's going to be making his way back over to the truck. Johnny, what have you been seeing so far?
Well, obviously, so far from what we're seeing here, Jackson, dust appears to be the tale of the day early in this one. Obviously, we saw our starts get underway. Certain parts of this course are able to get out and actually kind of manicure with the water truck, but not a lot of rain in this coastal area of the Carolinas recently. So we see the dust kicking up. There had a little rain shower last night, but not quite enough to keep the dust completely down. But I got to say, what a beautiful facility here. Thanks again to the Maury Sportsman Preserve. More than 10 years now here visiting this facility, and it offers a great racing location for GNCC. And the track winds its way throughout here, as we can see from our Yamaha Racing live drone. Just a very picturesque facility with the ponds. We've got a little something for everybody in the family here. We had some fishing going on yesterday, and but right now the action already heating up on the racetrack.
Yeah, no doubt about it, man. It has been a rough one here today for that AM ATV race that just concluded a few minutes ago. And you can see their last lap was the first that these pro riders going to have to deal with here today. And here we go.
All right, we're going to skip over our start recaps and go straight into the racing action here at the 5-mile marker. That is some of our XC2 pack working their way through there. Looked like it likely was the lead pack coming through, so you can see things already starting to stretch out a little bit. There's James Galata. We saw Jeremiah Wolf come through. That looks like that may have been Logan Steele. Our rider already has a podium here in 2026. Some more. That looks like one of the Likens boys there. And it's, as you pointed out, Jackson, already starting to get rough. The course gets pushed back between each race each year, and it looks very unassuming when you're out there pedaling. On Friday, there's Andrew Benoski. There is Talon Stout off to a quick start. A lot of these guys charging their way up, trying to catch those XC1 riders, but you can see those bikes jumping around underneath them. You can see the ruts getting deeper. Jackson, you were over by the finish line earlier today. That became a very interesting section of the race course during the morning race action. As these ruts get deep, not in this particular section of race course, but throughout much of it, when the ruts get deep and that center rib has moisture in it, it's kind of hard to break that down, and the ATVs will high center or just basically run out of ground clearance. The tires dig so deep, the rotor, the chain, the skid plate, everything's dragging the ground. Basically, your tires aren't on the ground, so you have no forward drive. We've seen a lot of that, and I'm told from the morning racers, a lot of the track is that way, so I think we're going to struggle for opportunities for passing for some of these guys. It becomes what we call slot card out, and it definitely makes for some challenging conditions both to ride and especially to pass, Jackson.
Yeah, no doubt, especially as we get deep into this one and start getting into some lap riders. That could cause some real chaos here for our top riders as they make their way through. We already saw that in the AM race. We'll see if that's going to be the case here in the PM. But like you were saying, Johnny, make no mistakes. They come through here with the little mini dozers after each year. They plow all this down. This is just from this weekend's racing that you're seeing. You can see just how high these ATVs have been throwing that dirt.
Sand berm, and if you don't realize how quickly this happens, if you go into the finish line section, great viewing down there, a lot of chicanes coming into the finish. That was all flat with grass on top of it at 8 a.m. this morning when our first micro ATV race kicked off. Obviously, this is already the 4th race of the day here this weekend at the FMF Camp Coker Bullet, starting off with our micro ATVs at 8 a.m., 8:45, the micro bikes, and that ground just continues to get churned up. But here is your leader. He grabbed the whole shot. It is the 318 of Hunter Hart, not only out front, but making dust. Now we can see just how much visibility in that dust may come into play today. Here comes the rider in second, and look at this. It's the number 5 of Wyatt Wilkin on the charge, and then just behind him is Josh Merritt in the number 3 spot. He made some moves in the first couple corners to get himself into that position. Bryson Neal buried a little bit further back in the pack off the start. A rider who's been very, very dominant in recent years here at Camp Coker. But Jackson, we've been talking about it. What's it going to take to stop the bid? Oh, actually, that's Wyatt Wilkin. So I don't know who that was there in second. Then that looked like Bryson Neal there. Could have been John Glaude Jr. There is Jay Shadron. now I have to go back and rewatch that clip and see who that was in the number 2 spot. Thought it was Wyatt Wilkin.
Yeah, I didn't catch it when he was making his way through myself. Well, either way, carrying a ton of speed through here, man, especially with as dusty as what we're seeing today. That definitely going to be the fastest we have saw here all day long coming through that section.
Absolutely. Now here comes, that's definitely Stephen Harrell. Can tell by the riding style there on the number 908. But look at that. Immediately visibility goes away. Looks like that may be Jared McClure there on the number 9. Around the outside, there's Chris Borich. That looked like either Grayson Eller or John Glauda Jr. There's Adam McGill. And that looked to me to be Braxton Gross, possibly, or could have been Lane McCormick as well. One of the two riders there. I believe Lane was very quick off the start.
Was that Josh Merritt you possibly missed?
No, Josh was actually in the number 3 spot.
Oh,
he was I recognized him. We'll see here again at the 11-mile marker exactly what we got here. We got, Brad Whitehead there clearing out some lines. His rider, Lane McCormick, was very quick off the start in that XC2 class and grabbed the whole shot. May still be leading. Hunter Hart, though, on the rear wheels, making dust, making tracks, and making a bigger gap to that number 2 spot. That is, that's Brandon Owens on the number 15, so my bad there. And then it is Merritt in the number 3 spot. So again, Neil buried a little bit further back in the pack. We've asked the question already here in 2026, what's it going to take to stop the Bidwell Bullet? Could this be the day with some of the top riders out front? Hunter Hart already having a podium here in 2026. Josh Merritt up there. Brandon Owens fresh off a podium. And then here is Wyatt Wilkin there. And then just behind him, the Bidwell Bullet charging. And he is knowing that those riders out front are starting to get away. Does not want to give them any sense of confidence. He has led virtually the entirety so far of the 2026 season. We've seen Hunter Hart lead some. We've seen Wyatt Wilkin lead a little bit. But when it comes to leading the majority of these races, Bryson Neal has been winning these races from the front. In fact, I believe just 3 weeks ago at Talladega, it was virtually a wire-to-wire win for him, leading virtually the entire way. So a little different scene set here for round number 4 at Camp Coker with this rider out front, Hunter Hart, a sand specialist, has done very well here in the past. Flashing back a little bit further, there is Stephen Harrell. And the interesting thing to me, Jackson, we've seen a lot of tight racing so far here in 2026. Look at how big these gaps are already. Now there is John Glauda Jr. up podium here last year. There is Jared McClure. And that is Chris Borich, Adam McGill, and no, it is Braxton Gross. We thought it was Lane McCormick, but I believe that was, in fact, Braxton Gross. So he has made some moves. And we're actually going to be joined here in the booth by a rider who we have not seen any of here in 2026 so far, but Walker Fowler joining us in the booth here in just a moment. As we watch our action on screen, it looks like right now Bryson Neal starting to get hungry and applying the pressure to the back of Wyatt Wilkin, but look at how much dust he's eating. That is all coming in through the goggles. He's having to breathe that in, and he's going to do everything he can to make some quick moves from our Yamaha Racing live drone here. Walker joining us in the booth. Obviously, your situation here in 2026 has been well publicized. A injury coming into 2026, but great to have you with us here today, and thanks so much for joining us in the booth.
Heck yeah, thanks guys, good to be here. So what have I missed?
Well, so far what you have missed is out front leading the way, Hunter Hart, and Bryson Neal buried back in about that number 6 spot right now, but it's putting heavy pressure on Wyatt Wilkin, trying to get himself up in the mix, but out front, Hunter Hart starting to stretch it out over Brandon Owens in the number 2 spot, Josh Merritt in 3rd. So there's Bryson Neal up on the berm, losing some valuable time. And this is what we had theorized is Bryson has kind of just been really setting 2026 on cruise control. We did see him with one kind of miscue at one point in a race so far, but it was a quick fix, just as that was. Nothing disastrous at this point, but Walker, speak a little bit about what it's like when you've got all the momentum going for you and you get maybe not the start you're looking for. You can see now he's got quite a bit of ground to make up, even to get back to the rear wheels of Wyatt Wilkin. How quickly do you have to regroup to make sure the wheels don't come completely off the bus?
You have to minimize mistakes immediately in the XC1 class. There's no room for error there. We got John Glauda coming through there on screen, looking good. Got a little bit of fight in him today. He always does ride very well here in the sands of South Carolina. There's Adam McGill on screen. The Honda, would that be Jared McClure?
McClure was a little further up in our last camera shot. Oh, he's actually dropped back a little bit. And then it is Chris Borch there on the number 9. Then there is, I think that might be McCormick. I thought it was Gross, but I think that is Lane McCormick there. He was very quick off the line there. There is Grayson Eller, another one of our XC1 riders. So I think we've got our XC2 leader. We'll have to get a clear camera shot to tell if it is McCormick or Gross. And then that's Danik Paquin. You can tell by the riding style. The winner of our last round at Talladega, and also worth mentioning, a sand specialist. This guy coming out of Canada has made some serious noise in the Florida rounds of GNCC, looking to do it again here in the sands of Camp Coker today. Look at this, already getting to the finish line, and out front it is the 318 of Hunter Hart leading the way, looking to check that one off the box. Hole shot, first lap led, check, and again, you can see just how deep these ruts are coming through the finish line. But right now, Hunter Hart has opened up a big enough gap that nobody else can even see him at this point, guys.
It's very impressive. All right, so then what, we have Wyatt Wilkin now?
No, actually, Brandon Owens in the number 2 spot, and there's Josh Merritt in the number 3 spot.
Gosh, I missed so much. Awesome. Okay, I'm getting caught up here. But yes.
You had to hoof it all the way. It's a long way to come from the start.
I got to tell you, I was kind of out of breath.
And there's Wyatt Wilkin in the number 4 spot. So Bryson Neal up to the number 5 spot now. So here is 4th and 5th, and you can see Neal has already made up some ground on Wyatt Wilkin after that kind of semi-tip over, getting cross-rutted there just about a mile ago on the track.
Yeah, so going back to minimizing mistakes now I understand. I was thinking that Bryson was in the 3rd place position. Nothing to panic there, you know, with how Bryson is. Obviously in 5th place, we believe. Also not a panic situation, but this is the biggest gap that he is facing. So, you know, uncharted territory for 2026, Jackson.
Yeah, no doubt. And I have to wonder, as we watch the dust here, I feel like the dust is going to be more of a key factor than even the gap in a situation like this. We know Bryson Neal has the speed to be able to pull something like that off, but with the dust against him, I don't know how he's going to be able to do this one.
Well, let's speak about these gaps just a little bit as we watch these riders work their way through our pro row. See Hunter Hart take a look over at his pits there. Looks like he did get a pit board letting him know. But looking at the gaps, Hunter Hart, 11 seconds is his lead over Brandon Owens, and then 8 seconds back to Josh Merritt, another 11 seconds back to Wyatt Wilkin, and then 2.8 seconds back to Bryson Neal. So give or take 33, 34 seconds back from Hunter Hart to the rider that will be coming here. So we got Josh Merritt, then Wyatt Wilkin, then Bryson Neal. So 33 seconds on lap number 1, plus sitting in 4th spot, meaning you're going to have to work your way around 3 other riders before you even have a clear shot to try to make up that gap on Hunter Hart. There we see the lock-in, or the nod-in, I guess, if you will. So Bryson Neal obviously feeling it, but we've seen Bryson winning races this year by around that 40, 45-second mark a lot of times. So 33 seconds on lap number 1, that is a pretty tall order to have to reel that back in. Is he capable of it? Absolutely. Are we writing him off for the win today? By no means. But this is by far the biggest challenge we've seen so far for Bryson Neal in 2026.
Oh, no question. But he is Bryson Neal. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's in the front by the end of this lap. I wouldn't be shocked at all.
Yep.
But still, that's still a tall order. Those guys up front are riding really well right now. Looks like minimizing mistakes. We haven't seen anybody on screen other than Bryson make those mistakes. So Hunter Hart right now just absolutely blazing down the trails here. It's old growth, so there's not a whole lot of vines or any kind of undergrowth this time of year especially. It's very easy to see and lines, and when you're in, especially since they've come in and they've logged certain sections of the track, so now it's much more open. It's always been pretty open, but it's really open now, and it should
maybe not this section. Some of the stuff here,
of course.
you can still see quite well, but as the trees grow, they kind of get a little closer together. Some of the stuff pretty one-lined, but the GNCC track crew, from what I'm told from everyone out pedaling and even the morning riders, did a great job of leaving some more lines open. Look at this. Looks like Brandon Owens may have made up a little bit of ground there.
That might have been 8 or 9, John.
Brandon Owens is on the charge. Talk about being full of enthusiasm. There's Josh Merritt in the number 3 spot. A little bit of a miscue there for Merritt. Looked like he really had to get on the brakes to wiggle between those trees there. And now here is Wyatt Wilkin in the number 4 spot. Can see the dust of Merritt up ahead of him, but Bryson Neal is right there now. And Walker, if you had to say, obviously, we'll get to the whole story, but if you were racing, is this one of the tracks where, I don't want to put words in your mouth, where maybe you have a little bit of extra respect for a guy like Bryson Neal, given his track record here in the past?
Yes. Here, big buck. What I'm trying to think of.
The John Penton.
The John Penton. Well,
yeah. I mean, hit or miss. But
I had my
here is, well, I'm not saying you specifically, but Bryson Neal has really put on display. He's a threat to win. We've already seen him 3 wins in 2026. He's a threat to win, or almost at this point, expected to be in the battle for the win everywhere he goes, but here at Camp Coker, he has really put on a special display for the fans a number of times, charging through the pack, getting out to some pretty big, insurmountable leads. I can remember him winning races here by several minutes over the years. He just seems to really gel well with this property. So again, 33 seconds behind, but surely capable of putting in the ride necessary to get himself up in the mix to battle for the win here today. There was John Glauda Jr. coming by. And before you came in, Walker, we were talking about how this early in the race to see these gaps opening up like this, potentially because of the dust. You didn't see, but when we came to our first camera shots, out in the open sections, very, very, very dusty.
Yeah, which is hard to imagine because, I mean, look at the wind here today. It's probably a good 15 mile an hour sustained gust. It's hard to, I mean, you can see that it just gets blown off the track pretty quickly, but there must be some lower lying sections or some sections of trail that the wind doesn't affect, and maybe, I mean, as dry as it's been, very extreme fire hazard conditions, so please no fires this weekend. I'm sure we've been putting that out there, but yeah, it is dry, and it's very possible. Obviously, there would be no lap traffic. The only thing I can think is that maybe there's been a mistake we haven't seen on camera that blocked the trail every so many increments of riders. That's the only other. I did see that Brandon Owens' bumper looked like it was kind of shoved up underneath his front plastic.
Well, if you watch that front first turn there was a lot of bumping and grinding. I saw there was riders with their feet off the pegs. Josh Merritt's whole front end was up in the air. Riders were tangling with each other, and next thing you know, Josh kind of squirts through the middle, but there was a lot of contact, bumping and grinding. Really speaking to, you know, Walker, as you know, there's certain tracks where the start is just seemingly, especially with the XC1 riders who know these tracks so well, they know this is start-dependent track. We really need to be there, and it seemed like no one was willing to give even, not only would they not give an inch, they wouldn't give a knobby going into turn number one. They just held it on and hoped for the best, and it looked like they were just ping-ponging off each other. Quick shout-out, looking at our running order, we had it on the left side of the screen there for just a moment. Lane McCormick is the rider leading that XC2 class on that 512 Honda, and he is sitting in the number 8 spot overall. Just behind him, about 11 seconds back, is Danik Paquin, and then Elijah Edmondson, 13 seconds back, 3rd place in that XC2 class. So those guys have checked in now and running inside the top 15 overall. Our former 2-time race winner this year, Braxton Gross, a rough round at Talladega, having some issues there, sitting back in that number 18th spot overall and looking like 4th, 5th, 6th place in the XC2 class, with Noah Likens and James Lauda behind him there, rounding up the top 20. And there you see the running order on the left side of your screen there. So Braxton Gross, known as a sand specialist, has done some pretty special things here at Camp Coker the last couple of years, but he's really going to have to get hard on the gas if he wants to catch Lane McCormick out front.
Sure is. It's going to be a tall order. Like we've been saying, man, I really think the dust is going to come into play here in this one a lot. And like Walker was saying, a fire ban here this weekend, but believe it or not, we did have a little bit of rain. I woke up to some rain this morning. You absolutely cannot tell.
Yeah, I think it was 1/2 of 1/10 of an inch is what they recorded. So it was just enough to, you know, make the grass green for about 15 seconds, then it picked up. But nonetheless, it does help out. But the other thing this weekend here, you can't really tell from our camera shots. You can see the leaves moving a little bit. Very, very windy it's been since yesterday afternoon. That dries out that top layer very quickly, and the sun is shining as well. Cooler day yesterday, near 90 degrees. Today, I don't know that we've gone above freezing yet. And by freezing, I mean 60, because that's freezing. And here we are sitting in the high 50s, low 60s today. So it's perfect temperatures for racing, but perfect temperatures for Hunter Hart out front, grabbing the start and charging. This looks like the Instagram 60-second sprinter, Hunter Hart. Walker, what do you got to say there?
I was just going to say, maybe this track is more like Broome, because my man looks good right now, and there's no question that gap is probably still around that 11-second mark.
He's absolutely flowing, and there is Brandon Owens. Like you pointed out, that bumper looking like it's folded back, meaning there was probably some contact somewhere. Josh Merritt now on the charge, a little closer, and here comes Wyatt Wilkin and Bryson Neal. So the 3rd, 4th, and 5th place positions are tightening up, and they're closing the gap on Brandon Owens for the number 2 spot. Might make it a 4-rider party over that number 2 spot here in just a bit. Jay Shadron, haven't talked about him too much. A rider that's always strong here in the sands of Camp Coker, spends a lot of time down in Florida riding and training, and he is sitting there in that number 6 spot. as we look, looks like it's adjusted now. They're showing Lane McCormick in the number 7 spot, but this particular running order is missing Stephen Harrell. The actual running order from our live timing and scoring has Harrell in that number 7 spot overall. So we'll adjust that when things get reset here. But Stephen Harrell is running in that 7th spot in XC1 and in the overall position, and should be coming by here just about any moment.
I'm still really shocked about this big of a gap, like in that pro end of the back of the pro class 2, you know, the front of XC2.
That's Harrell and Glada.
Okay, Harrell and Glada.
So that's 7th and 8th physically on track. We'll be watching now for that 5:12 Nikki Hayden replica of Lane McCormick. They're the leader in our XC2 class. Our man Zach Heron jumping in and joining us now in the booth after those 10-second calls. Looks like we're heading out to the power point at the 4-mile marker. Here's where you can see the dust really kicking up, boys.
Man, and you can see the sense of urgency from Hunter Hart. I don't know what the drone shot showed, but he got in some of that thick berm around the outside of turn 1, and it was beautiful. He took the long way around and then closed things off heading into turn 2, and you could almost immediately see Hunter kind of reminds me of John Glada Jr. in the sense of you can almost see this extra sense of urgency or passion when he gets that good start. It's like it lights an extra little fire underneath you, and just like you said, we've all seen the Insta-bangers. He's looking pretty good right now.
Did we miss Josh Merritt in that shot?
I didn't see.
I mean, we don't see anything right now. No, he has dropped back now. He is behind Wyatt Wilkin and Bryson Neal. So that moves Wyatt Wilkin up to the number 3 spot, Bryson Neal into 4th, and Josh Merritt in the number 5 spot. Don't worry about that number 4 on the bumper. That is not Josh Merritt's last year's bike. That is another one of our amateur riders there in the pits working on his machine. But this is, to be fair, when you watch this and you can't see him, this would by far be the dustiest section of the racetrack.
And yes, you can see it's like that kind of talcum powder. It got that kind of gold, creamy texture looking thing.
Worth mentioning, this was, if you're a fan of moto from back in the day, this was Larry Ward's Supercross track. This section right here, Larry Ward, a rider from very near here, friends with Hank Moree, the Moree Sportsman Preserve, again opening up their facility to us, and they allowed Larry to build his practice track right here in this section. The moto track we used to run for many years was where we started, but this was the Supercross track, not where the woods are, just kind of there to the left where you see that talcum powder coming up. There was Glada putting the pressure on Harrell there, and that is still for that number 7 and 8 spot, the battle that we're seeing on screen.
Well, and this has been something synonymous with this Camp Coker area for a while. I remember my father grew up racing here at the Camp Coker motocross track, and he would even say, man, sometimes the summer series, they didn't get rain. He was like, it wasn't just that it was dusty, but the dust, as you can see on screen, it just floats. It just hangs out. Now, we have had a fair amount of wind coming through the area today, so hopefully it'll keep things clearing out so it won't just sit around. But if it is one of those dead spots for the wind, then it's going to be one of those things where that powder's just going to sit around and could hang around for quite a while and cause some chaos.
There we see our leader, Hunter Hart, working his way through. We'll see what the gap is. It was 11 seconds at the completion of lap number 1. But Brandon Owens looked like he'd reeled in a little bit, and now it has definitely opened up quite a bit more. So as Owens maybe starting to lose a little bit of ground to Hunter Hart, he's also falling into the grasps of Wyatt Wilkin or potentially Bryson Neal. No, it is still Wilkin. He's able to hold off the very, very hard-charging Bryson Neal.
Man, these guys are flying. This is so much fun to watch again. Man, like I've been looking forward to Saturdays so much the last couple of months here, and it's awesome to just be here and have seen everyone and smell the race fuel again, and man, just how close these riders are. That's what I'm thinking is like that. That little bit of a singe in your eyes with the sweat and the fumes. You know, it brings back some awesome memories when the riders are on a big train like that. It's a fun time. The sound, the smell, the feel. It's cool.
Well, we love to bring the action to the folks at home on Racer TV, but like you said, Walker, sometimes you just can't beat the roar of the engines in person. You just cannot beat the feeling of that dust hitting you in the face, maybe get a little roost on you. When the conditions get rough, getting to be a mud flea, get in there, help out. Coming to the GNCCs, it really is a unique and special experience for sure.
100%. I mean, watching it at home is great. It's honestly, you can almost see more.
Oh, for sure.
100% can see more. It's like what Supercross, you can see more on TV. But Steve Harrell looking back here.
I think he was looking back to see what happened to John Glada, because Glada was right there and still is.
But man, if you've ever wanted to come to a GNCC, find one on your local schedule. Please come and check one out, because there is nothing nothing like it. It's kind of like people that talk about the NHRA and being behind the top fuel dragsters when they take off, and all the the alcohol and methane and all that stuff. It's awesome. So just come hang out with us, please.
Well, as we watch from our Yamaha Racing Live drone, Walker, we spoke just very briefly. Obviously, your farewell tour to GNCC from XC1, kind of not starting out how you had envisioned it. Obviously, the back injury coming into the season. If somebody wants to come out and watch a GNCC, any chance that they might get to see Walker Fowler in his farewell season a little later in 2026?
Yes, I plan on being back after summer break for sure. Possibly snowshoe. I would love to. I hope I can get myself ready. I'm a few weeks ahead of 3 years ago when I broke my back the first time, so those couple of weeks really could play in my favor. So I know the last time I did it, I think I got 6th or 7th, and I was dead after the race. It was honestly, I was a danger in myself the last half of a lap on the last lap there. But if I can have a couple extra weeks, I think I can come back out here and play with the boys and try to shake up the podiums. I'm not going to say I can come back and win by any stretch, but I'd love to squeak into the top 5 again and bang bars. And we've had such great racing action this year. It's been awesome to watch. I know Bryson's undefeated up to this point, but they're not the complete runaways. We've had really good action from Wyatt Wilkin, from Hunter Hart, from Stephen Rell, from Brandon Owens. And we're seeing it on screen, and we're going to go to a break after all this here.
Yeah, things certainly starting up exciting. We've been asking all season long. Bryson Neal had the start style. The question was, would he be able to work through the pack with maybe not quite as good of a start? Well, we're going to find out as Hunter Hart doing a great job right now. He gets the early race lead. And we're going to have more racing action here from the FMF Camp Coker Bullet right after this commercial break.
Don't let waiting in line for service sideline your machine. Eliminate the wait and save money by doing it yourself. AMSOIL makes it simple, with oil change kits that include exactly what you need in one convenient package. Choosing the right kit is also simple. Just plug your ride into the Shop by Vehicle tool at AMSOIL.com and have your kit delivered right to your door. Get the protection you demand and the performance you deserve. Order now at AMSOIL.com.
Unleash aggression, reliability, and premium quality with Kenda tires, delivering exceptional performance on all types of vehicles: automotive, ATVs, UTVs, motorcycles, bicycles, trailers, lawn and garden, and even golf. Trust Kenda tires to guide you on your next adventure. Kenda, designed for your journey.
Born of family values and a homegrown work ethic, Cometic Gasket seals your machine so you can focus on the finish line. Cometic Gaskets are the competitive standard for racers who demand the very best inside their engine. Cometic Gaskets are always constructed from superior materials designed to perform in the most demanding environments. Whether it's a championship on the line or a day in the dirt with friends, professionals and enthusiasts alike depend on Cometic. Cometic Gasket, sealing championships since 1989.
Progressive GNCC Racing is brought to you by Progressive. Progressive could save you hundreds of dollars on your automobile and motorcycle insurance. Specialized e-turbo bicycles. It's you, only faster. RockyMountainATVMC.com. Get ready.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to round 4 of the 2026 Progressive GNCC season, the FMF Camp Coker Bullet. And how about it right now, watching the number 3 of Josh Merritt on your screen. Looks like Jay Shadron trying to chase him down, but it's Hunter Hart taking him to school right now. And speaking of school, Jackson, we've got a very special guest with us here in the booth.
Yeah, we sure do. We have Miss Renfro from On Track Schools, and for those that don't know out there, I actually got my start announcing with the On Track Apprentice program at Loretta Lynn's a few years ago, and I was able to advance up through that, got to meet Tim and all of the bosses, and got to be invited here to GNCC. So it's been, On Track School has been very special to me, and that's not all that they do. They don't just have the apprentice program and getting people involved with the sport. They also offer a K-12 school. Tell us all about it.
We sure do, and thank you guys. Oh, wait, can you hear me? Sorry. Oh, there we go. Okay, thank you guys for having me up here, and I'm so excited to be here. GNCC is such an amazing event. It's so much different than Moto, but it's such a crossover community. You know, I'm walking through the pits and I see all of the, like, a lot of people that either go to our school or do Moto as well. So it's just, it's such a big family, just everything on 2 wheels. And 4 wheels because we're watching quads. But anyway, so On Track School, yes, absolutely. We do all kinds of things. So one of the things that we're really excited about is we've expanded the Pro Apprentice, or the apprentice program from Loretta's into the pro ranks. We have 4 apprentices going and shadowing Supercross this year. So we've already had 2 go to 2 of the rounds. One of our students, Ruby Fustini, she's a racer, and her brother Jigs Fustini races as well. She's going to be shadowing at Philadelphia coming up.
Oh, amazing.
So yeah, so we're trying to really help these kids and young adults get into the sport. Something else that's really cool is On Track has now expanded our school choice options in 10 states. So South Carolina being one of the ones, and you know, we're here at beautiful Camp Coker, but South Carolina, we just got approved for a school choice scholarship there as well, which can help pay for tuition. And even if you don't go to On Track School, obviously we want you to come to us. We can help you navigate what that looks like. We even have West Virginia, you know, kind of, I guess, the home of GNCC in Moto. So again, you know, we've got 10 states that we're working with that can support students in further, you know, in their education so that they can race and pursue their dreams. So that's all the fun things that we get to do at On Track beyond, you know, the classrooms.
Yeah, On Track School, a very special thing, a way to keep the riders on track. It works perfect alongside some of the training facilities and racing. It works out perfect. It's a K-12 school, and like you were saying, if you're interested in getting to it, even the apprentice program is not just for students. It's for everybody to be involved with that wants to be involved with the sport, whether it's motocross or GNCC or you name it. So, and y'all also have some kids that race cars, and you name it. They do it all. So if you're interested in On Track, they can go to ontrackschools.com.
ontrackschool.com, yes.
There it is.
And we're here, and I actually have a booth, or we have a booth set up. Miss Cameron Strang is one of our teachers, and her husband Josh is a pro, so they've been carrying the booth around, and Griff has been helping us set that up as well. So just, you know, again, very community, family oriented. Everyone supports each other, and we love the support that we get at On Track for doing what we love best, is furthering everyone's education so they can pursue their dreams.
Well, no doubt. Well, we thank you very much for being here this weekend and at all the GNCCs here in 2026. Go check them out, On Track Schools, especially for our young guns that are out there. Speaking of young guns, been following along here with Brandon Owens on screen. And just like Zach said, he's been taking them to school, sitting in that second place spot. Zach, that's the way you do it, man. Somebody like Brandon Owens picks up that steam. He gets the confidence there from just a round to go and going to continue to carry that forward. Actually following along now with Jay Shadron. Got the headlights shining bright there. Oh, that's our leader. He's got the yellow bike looking good out front. So there it is. Going to check in for another lap complete. 2 laps now in the books. 43 minutes into this approximately 2-hour-long race.
Man, so how about that? Hunter Allhart, as we like to call him, putting it all out there right now, is looking mighty comfortable, and that's what we like to see, is a Hunter Hart that is flowing, is attacking, and you're still seeing he's kind of manhandling that quad around, right? He's putting it where he wants to be, and that's when you know that Hunter is feeling himself. He knows he's got a good opportunity. If I was the Hart crew, best believe, I would think if you're anybody in front of Bryson Neal right now, you're going, hey, I need to make hay while the sun's shining, as they like to say. Try to get up, get away, and do everything you can to try to keep the number 1 behind you.
That's what Brandon Owens is definitely going to be doing now, as Bryson Neal has worked his way around Josh Merritt. He's going to be in that 3rd place spot, and most definitely has his eyes set now on Owens.
So Neal moving his way forward. I'm curious to see if timing and scoring updates, what the gap is between Neal and Wilkin. Looks like just about 11 or 12 seconds. That was something that we heard Wyatt talk about prior, feeling the pressure from somebody like Bryson Neal. But then if Neal gets around him, or maybe Neal starts in front of him, Wyatt talked about how hard it is to be able to sink those hooks into the back of the number 1, keep the toe, keep the pace of what Bryson Neal's able to do. Walker, we saw this last year. You were arguably one of the only riders that could match, if not exceed, that intensity. When we talk about practice, we know you guys talk technical skills, we talk starts, so many different things, but something like intensity, how do you measure that? How do you practice something like that besides just getting the reps at the races?
I really don't believe you do. Obviously in your younger days, you try to ride and train with any of these guys that you can get kind of hooked up with, and just try to mentor off of, and yeah, you're just trying to soak up. You're being a sponge. You're just trying to learn absolutely everything and absorb anything you can from these guys, any knowledge. And here we go. We got Hunter Hart, almost the fastest man on the track. Actually, Wyatt Wilkin there. Pretty good lap time. But Bryson Neal, that 22:58, that's a great lap. And we just got word that we have a 5-lap race. So these boys are going to have to go to the distance today.
Yeah, we're going to find out who's been eating the Wheaties, who's been putting the time in during the week for sure. And Neal, I know Johnny Gallagher with my math here, but that was just about 15 to 16 seconds faster than I believe everybody else. I mean, he has found another gear, found that intensity that we talked about, and it just seems like Bryson is one of those riders where when he needs a little extra, he's able to find it.
Yeah, of course, man. The guy, he's an absolute athlete. There's nothing else. I'd say Olympian almost, but there's not a whole lot more to describe the guy. He takes this very serious. It's very impressive. Their crew does an amazing job. The whole team is top notch. So to see these guys clicking off, year after year, I understand how difficult that is, and just staying healthy, obviously, and man, just to see someone in their prime just executing. That's what these guys do, man. They just execute, and very, very few mistakes. So, man, technically, Bryson has cut down the overall lead here by about half.
Yep.
In a lap. So, this time next lap, we should be expecting a fight for that lead, if not even sooner.
And you see him right there on your screen. And you're not the only one that's thinking that. Anybody that's ahead of Bryson Neal, they know if he's not right behind me, he's on the way. And that's one thing that you can bet on. The sun's gonna come up, and Bryson Neal's gonna charge forward, because if he doesn't get the bad start, he's there, and if he gets the start, he's checking out and he's pushing forward. And it just seems like you can't catch the guy off guard. And you can even talk about it. You talk about being in your prime, where things just seem to be going your way. Sometimes it's just whether it's executing the good starts, making quick passes in crucial opportunities. It just seems like sometimes things are clicking for you, and that's a culmination of time, practice, getting comfortable with your machine and with your team as well.
Yeah, it's being a professional. That's truly what it is.
So watching here at the 2-mile mark, the FMF Power Point at the FMF Camp Coker Bullet. FMF, the House of Power, in the house with us here this weekend on site. Jackson, are you rocking FMF socks right now? You probably are.
Man, I've got a million of those socks. Those are some of my favorite, and that's not all they have. They have a ton of good stuff here at FMF. If you're not here with us, watching from Racer TV, check them out online. The title sponsor here this weekend at the Camp Coker Bullet. They'll be able to get you hooked up with a little bit of power.
Absolutely, as we continue to watch and wait here at the 2-mile mark.
Walker, we talk about Brandon Owens getting that first podium just a race ago. Can you remember back to your first podium? I know that's been several wins ago. The most winning ATV GNCC rider. Can you remember the confidence that gave you?
The very first one was at Snowshoe.
How about that?
From XC2. Yep, it was pretty awesome.
I guarantee it.
Did you feel like there was a big shift in your confidence and your mentality after that? Was it a huge step, or was it something where it was the next step?
It was kind of like what you saw from Brandon Owens and what you've seen from from Stephen Harrell. It was going to happen. you know, it was just when, and you kind of, you're beating your head against the wall, and you're like, oh man, this is starting to get really frustrating. I know I can do this. And you know, another rider that I know can do this, and I text on and off, is the number 5 there, Wyatt Wilkin. I hate to see him drop him back. Maybe just needs to, you know, get loose, made a little mistake, you know, hit a tree, something, maybe got pumped up a little bit. Just needs to settle down here for a lap or two, or not a lap, that'd be way too long. A mile or so, regroup and put a charge on. I know he can run up front with those guys, but back to Brandon Owens, man. Absolute banger of a year for that guy. Love to see it. And man, Jay Shad's been pretty consistent too. Honestly, like I said, everyone's riding so well. So even a day where you're the 9th or 10th place guy, it looks not good on paper, but it's been, you know, it's a good ride. If you go back and look at the gaps, everyone's really a lot tighter than we've seen in years past.
Well, and you talk about that, you know, 6th, 7th, and 8th we've either seen on a podium this season or last, and it just goes to show the story on paper doesn't even come close to saying what the depth is. And what's also interesting is the range in, it's not always a freight train of 1st through 9th coming through the finish line. There is sometimes seconds, minutes between them, and it just goes to show some days you're feeling it, some days things aren't working for you. As we see Stephen Harrell right now, we know he's running well, he's pushing the pace, he's got the fitness, he's feeling good on the machine, but between maybe not quite the start that he needed and a couple of things not working his way, him and John Glotta have been glued together, and they're still just trying to fight to get inside the top 5.
Yeah, and that's John Glotta does such an incredible job at this track year after year, so I'm kind of shocked to see him stuck there behind Steven, if maybe that's what it is, or maybe just an off day. But same thing, if an off day is 8th and you're not really that far off from that front pack that are all fighting for a podium position, it's hard to say it wasn't really a bad day.
Back to our Yamaha Racing Live drone, Hunter Hart out front leading the way, and no doubt about it, that gap has certainly shrank, and at this point, I would think Hunter may be able to catch a glimpse of him, maybe even hear him just a little bit, as Bryson Neal eating dust off the back of Hunter Hart. And nobody likes eating dust, but if you're somebody like Bryson Neal catching up to starting to catch that dust cloud, knows, hey, I'm starting to get within striking distance.
I think it's Brandon Owens.
Is that Owens?
Yeah, I believe so. I believe Owens still going to be holding on to that spot.
Yes.
There. Okay, so Neal closing in on Owens.
Man,
so wow.
Brandon Owens even opening up a slight gap over Bryson Neal. Like I said, man, the guy's been riding so good this year, and that podium that gives you that confidence. It makes you know that you belong. The hard work, the dedication, all the years. And you know, I can think back 5 or 6 years ago when he was kind of just starting to get pretty fast in XC2 or at A class, and he was just kind of a wrecking ball and had a lot of mechanical problems. And you know, he got hooked up there with Sturgeon Power Sports, and it's truly changed his entire program, and it's given him a machine that allows him to have the ability and the confidence and the want to go to the gym and train and eat right. When you have these terrible finishes all the time, you just shut down. So once you're confident in the machine, as you can see on screen, man, he can see them. They can see, the top 3 probably can see each other. Bryson Neal probably can almost see the lead now. Man, that trio up front is absolutely just blazing fast. And waiting on Wyatt Wilkin here, but bummed to see that gap open up for him. But that just goes to show you that top 3 right now is in a class of their own.
Yeah, definitely going to be pushing the pace, and that speaks for its own with Brandon Owens, as we see Wyatt Wilkin making his way through. But Brandon Owens to be able to push the pace and click it up a gear when he knew Bryson Neal was behind him, that speaks all for itself.
Well, and we're starting to see Wilkin get into that no man's land where he's by himself. It's so hard to push the pace forward at that point, and you're just you're looking for anything that you can cue off of, anything that you can use to motivate you and kind of show where you are. And yes, obviously you've got team members and pit crew members giving you pit boards, but you can talk on this, Walker. It's just not quite the same seeing it written down versus actually having that visual cue in front of you saying, hey, I'm getting close or I'm maintaining the gap.
Yeah, if you've been chasing and you've been getting the pit board that you're getting closer, you're like, man, is my pit crew just playing tricks on me? But if you can start seeing a little bit of dust, you go, okay, I hope that's them. Is that a lapper? Is it them? And then if you catch a glimpse, if you know, we have a pretty good idea what we look like, you know, start or on the starting line, helmet, gear, whatever, bike color. You get a glimpse of that person and you go, oh yeah, baby, it's on. It's like right now, these guys, Brandon Owens can see first place once again, and that's what he's like, oh yeah, baby, it's on. And then Bryson Neal, you know, he's just like, you know, another Saturday, boys. Let's get this party started a little later than usual, but I'm here to play.
Well, and that's what I was going to say. You got to think the sense of urgency for Bryson Neal, he just seems so calm because, like you said, that confidence from the past results, from his ability to make passes happen, from his ability to be in the #1 spot at the end of the race. That's when it's most important. But this is definitely going to get deeper and deeper as the race goes on as well. The lap traffic going to get deeper. They're going to kick up their own dust. But right now, Brandon Owen's starting to get into a tight spot as well. He's playing offense and defense at the same time, wanting to charge forward towards Hunter Hart. But in these big sand berms, you see him kind of leaving the door open, having to carry the momentum around. Somebody like Bryson Neal could sneak up and take advantage of that.
Yeah, you almost want to try to, you got to use the dust in front of you to your advantage the best you can while also creating as much dust. You almost have to try to listen for where the rider behind you is and try to move over there and make dust. And sometimes you literally do have to kind of gradual S-turn through the field. But, man, at this point in the race, you got to play those kind of games. And
all's fair.
It's gloves are off, man. We're at the halfway point just about. And, man, I just love racing. I'm so happy to be back, man. This is sick.
Glad to have you back,
yes,
Walker,
absolutely.
no doubt. Walker, coming into a race like this here at Camp Coker, would there be anything that you would change for the machine or run what you brought?
We would have went back to, if it was dry like it is today, we would have went back to our Florida sand setup. Slight different clicker change, but we run a little bit longer shock. Here we go, the battle for, second and third on screen here. But Hunter Hart, if we could just get a little bit closer there, guys. If we get all three of you in one camera shot, that'd be fantastic. So we'll put that out in the universe.
Put that on the pit board. Watching here from the Yamaha Racing Live drone. Talking about setup there, Walker, and what all goes into it. You have to wonder, Hunter Hart, we always talk about it, but he just hasn't seemed to have had that sand race yet that we were expecting. A rider that's always down in Florida waiting for Hunter Hart to be able to show what he's capable of in the sand. We all see the clips. We all know he's got it figured out. Could today be the day that he finally puts it all together here in the sand?
Well, and you hit the nail on the head. We've almost joked and talked about the social media clips so many times, but my jaw drops literally when I see some of these videos. I'm like, you cannot ride a quad any faster through the sand. And that just hasn't quite translated over. Obviously, 60-second insta-banger speed doesn't necessarily translate to 2 hours of racing, but at the end of the day, he has reaffirmed over and over again that he's got the technical skills to be able to do this. Now it's just been a mix of getting that start, getting an opportunity, and I think the chip on the shoulders there as well. Hunter Hart knows he's shown he's capable of doing it. He's kind of for a couple of years now trying to re-get to where we thought he was going to be, consistently fighting for wins and fighting for this championship. And Hart right now laying it all out, and got to think he's going to, all but die for this one. He is up front, and he's got the opportunity right there to try to grab this win, and I don't think he's going to be handing it over anytime soon. And, I mean, to your point, Walker, with somebody like a Bryson Neal, is it almost an extra win to be able to keep Bryson behind you? Even if, let's say it was just for the third place, if you're able to beat Bryson Neal and keep him behind you, that's an individual win in his own right.
That's almost the goal at this point. Yep. For the championship, for the championship, you have to beat who is winning. So you literally, the goal is to win and beat everyone, but truly the goal is to at least beat Bryson.
No doubt about it. Bryson Neal feeling powerful right now. Well, we talked about it a bit earlier. FMF, the title sponsor for the Camp Coker Bullet, and we were able to catch up with the House of Power here on site. Talk a little bit about what they're bringing here to Camp Coker.
Kyle Dangler with FMF Racing, title sponsor of Camp Coker GNCC. We're stoked for it. We're out here with the rig. We've got all of our stuff. We've got 2-stroke, 4-stroke exhaust on hand. We've got our new fire pits. We've got toy motorcycles, ton of hats, a little bit of everything. We're racing ourselves. I'm going to do 40A for the first time. I don't know what, maybe my buddy taught me into it, but we'll see how that's going to go. Camp Coker is always a great course, so actually really excited for it. Come over, check us out. We've got everything in here we need, from all the exhaust. Come by, say hi, grab stickers, whatever it is. We're going to be here all weekend hanging out.
Well, how about that? So cool to have the entire FMF family out here. And they're not just here to sell, they're here to race as well. We've seen them hang out with us a few times at a couple different locations, and always looking to be a part of the action as well as taking care of the GNCC Racing Nation. We see the Gator Adam McGill making his way by, but man, Camp Coker has been a fan favorite, not only for the racers, the fans, but the vendors as well. We've got the United States Navy out here with us as well. As you can see, they got the now hiring sign out, and they've got all kinds of things on display. We've got a bomb diffusing robot right there, so if anybody's bikes start overheating, we want to take the radiator caps off, we can send this little guy in. They've got a pull-up and push-up challenge going on. Jackson refused to enter the pull-up competition earlier. Tomorrow, that's what he kept saying. He said it yesterday too, Walker. I'm not believing it, but nonetheless, first of all, a big thank you to all of our servicemen and women through the entire services, whether it's Navy, Army, whatever we've got. But so cool to have the Navy here with us, and already heard a couple of riders talking earlier. I know one young man was saying, hey, I'm about 15 years old. He's like, here in about 3 or 4 years, the military is something I've really been considering, and the Navy handed him a card and said, we'll talk to you soon. So really cool to have the Navy hanging out here with us and embracing what GNCC Racing is all about.
Yeah, Zach, and we get to talk to the Special Forces a lot. They come out to the races just as the Navy's doing. They look for these racers. They want these fine motor skills that they have, and that's what they're looking for, whether it's the families here. They're looking for people that can mechanic. They're looking for people that can ride these machines. And hey, they might even be able to get you on a machine like this, depending on what avenue you want to take. So something to look forward to, something for you guys to check out, whether you're at home or whether you're right here on property.
Yeah, I've got a couple of friends that are in the military in a couple different branches, and we talk about it all the time, the similarities between top-level amateur athletes and the United States military, and one of the key words that comes up is discipline. We talk about the diets, the nutrition, the work ethic, as we see one of the most disciplined in the field right now, Hunter Hart, charging forward. If you're able to commit to your racing like that, you can commit to the service. But we got a 3-rider battle. You asked for it, Walker. There it is. They're all in the same camera shot now.
Hey, I put it out in the universe, and the universe listened. So, yep. 3-rider battle, wheel to wheel to wheel.
That's what we've been waiting for. Hunter Hart, Brandon Owens, and Bryson Neal, all flying information. And this is going to be a 3-rider battle for the lead here at Camp Coker.
Man, I would not want to be a lap rider right now, as here comes Wyatt Wilkin. He's trying to join the party as well. Got a bit of time to make up, but man, I mean, just like you said, Walker, you couldn't get them any closer than that, not to mention some lap traffic starting to get into the mix as well. Jackson, I know we were firing the Lamborghinis up earlier. The depth of some of these ruts where you are basically locked into it for an entire section, that's really going to make things interesting when these riders are freight trained up and basically have no choice but to sit behind the rider that they're desperately trying to pass.
And you're seeing it right now on screen. Our camera operator doing a great job zooming in there as we see the headlight shining here of Shadron. He makes his way through, but yeah, you can see it just back there, right here. You can see just how high those sand berms are starting to develop now, and then if there's a sand berm, then that means there's a deep rut underneath there somewhere.
And you can see that dust kind of just floating here at the 10-mile mark, not quite moving out of the way yet. And got to think as we get deeper and deeper into these lappers, it's going to be thicker. We're going to be dealing with not one rider at a time, but 3 or 4, and really going to make things interesting. Curious to see whether or not that leads to a potential mistake. This is another opportunity, Walker, where patience really going to pay off as well. Sometimes you see that opportunity. I think I might see a spot to pass, but I kind of can't see anything. Do I go for it, or do I maybe check up and wait another mile or so?
Yeah, this is the best part of a 3-rider battle. Easy there, Brad. Don't fall. Here we go. Oh, so here we go. Yep. Bryce Neal already up to the number 2 spot, but Brandon Owens is right there. That's what I was going to say. In this situation, you have to play offense and defense. So obviously, 3rd place is only playing offense, but the other 2 are now playing offense and defense. But Bryce Neal has Hunter Hart right where he wants him. He can sit here the rest of the race until the last mile and be pretty confident in himself. But also, man, Hunter Hart is riding exceptionally well, as is Brandon Owens. These guys are just absolutely hanging it out. But you can see Hunter got that fluff a little bit, that kind of looser stuff. Bryson's able to get a little bit better drive out of some of these corners because Hunter's having to play defense. And shouldn't be Neal. There's a split line here, so we'll see what happens at the end.
Neal taking an alternate line, doing anything he can, searching for some way to get around. Not going to be able to pull it off here in this section. Going to lose just a bit of time. But nonetheless, this could be the tell of the tape right here. Bryson Neal's able to get around Hunter Hart.
Yeah, Hunter Hart's able to take at least a breath or 2 here. One little break. Obviously, they're both 3 seconds apart now. Call it. Oh no, we had a mistake there.
possibly something going on with the lap rider as they're making their way around several of them now. That allows Owens right back up to the wheels of Bryson Neal.
And man, Hunter Hart is very thankful for that lap rider right now, and Bryson Neal is probably not feeling the same way. But and now Brandon Owens is having a hard time getting around one of our amateur class riders today. But look at that dust. Okay, it is dustier than I thought it was. But you know where there wasn't dust? Ahead of Bryson Neal.
Exactly.
So that means Hunter Hart was able to take that lap rider, a little bit of mistake there from our second and third place positions, and turn that into a noticeable gap.
We're about to see it now here from our spotter Hollywood. Several more lap riders going to be between them as Hunter Hart makes his way through. There's the lap riders that we hear Hollywood talking about. So more lap riders in between them. Bryson Neal able to make quick work of that one.
And again, that could be one of those moments where, yes, we look at it as a mistake, we look at it as a loss of time for Bryson, but could have pushed the envelope and potentially cost himself way more. So the confidence for Neal, I think, is arguably his biggest weapon, where he just doesn't seem like he's ever rushed into making a decision. Hey, if something doesn't feel quite right, he sits back, he waits a mile or two till the opportunity feels right, and then he makes it happen.
Absolutely. Rider on screen, obviously, is Wyatt Wilkin. He's actually hanging in there. I don't think that gap is really open or closed. I believe he's been able to stabilize, so hats off to him, keeping himself in this race. Obviously, we're going to have 2 more laps after this, so he's got himself in a spot where he can be a part. You know, he can take a 3-rider battle and make it 4 real quick. So it's going to be tough to, like you said, he's in no man's land. There's no one ahead, no one behind, but as one of these top riders, you honestly have to be really good at riding by yourself. And when some of these guys, like maybe Hunter Hart, or I would say a rider I talk to probably more than anyone, just because we hang out in Florida all winter, Stephen Harrell, he really struggles long term with setting the pace. And the art of finding and setting the pace, a safe pace, is it's tough to do, but that's just experience, truly.
Watching right now, looks like one rider trying to move out of the way. One of the higher speed sections here as they work their way through this property.
Yep, and obviously Bryson Neal right back to the rear wheels of Hunter Hart. So the lap traffic, we're going to have a yo-yo effect, it appears, unless these guys stay so close together that a rider can't navigate their way in between them. But sometimes they think it's just one guy, and they'll start to just nose in right behind you, and that's where we can get some wheels together. And it's not a pretty sight when open wheels meet.
Especially in this chopped out condition like this, you can see the braking and acceleration bumps. Those aren't like designed whoops. Those were made over time, throughout the day. And man, it is really getting chewed up. Some slideways action here as Bryson Neal puts the pressure back on Hunter Hart. And that's going to be a little thing in the back of the mind of Hunter Hart as well. Hey, I know I opened that gap back up, and he's already back to me. Here we go, side by side.
Around slingshots through the Talladega corner. That is how you do it right there. We have ourselves a new leader, the Bidwell Bullet, firing off as we enter into this finish line section. Oh, man.
Bryson Neal set that up 5 seconds before we ever saw it. That was a textbook. I was going to say, man, looked like Hunter Hart had a good run out of that corner, but we couldn't quite see that lap rider. Bryson Neal stayed right to the left of him, and it forced Hunter to have to dive back under Bryson, but that lapper was not ready for Hunter to be there and got him stuck up on that berm. But able to come right back to the back of them as they encounter more lap traffic. So this is going to be, they're almost going to have to stay together and work together to get through this lap traffic, because if they separate, there's going to be big gaps. And that's when there's going to be the big yo-yo effect. Right now we have a little mini yo-yo. But we have lost Brandon Owens from this camera shot. We assume he is still right behind these guys here.
Checking in with timing and scoring.
Yeah, it's 6 seconds, so it's just far enough where we can't see.
So we talked about it a little earlier in the show, me and Johnny did. We saw riders all morning, Zach, getting caught up there at the finish line, having to come to a dead stop. The wheels completely off the ground. Nothing they can do, trying to shake those machines from side to side and get it freed up. Actually had Johnny out on the track having to clear some of that out. That could really cause some trouble for some of these riders. If they get behind one of those stopped riders in a section like that finish line, that could completely change this race.
Well, and to your point, Jackson, yeah, we saw that happen, and you could clearly see and hear the frustration as some choice words for riders that were stuck behind behind that lap rider, the frustration starts to set in, because there's nothing worse than not making a mistake, not doing anything wrong, and ultimately costing yourself. I mean, Hunter Hart, we just saw a moment ago, just lost the lead. You know he wanted. It's so important to try to strike back as quickly as you can. Let's see if we get the lock in. No, into the pits we go. He's locked in on this pit. Bryson Neal checks in, tosses the goggles, fresh set on. No goggles go to waste. There we go.
Masterclass pit stop.
I mean, that's NASCAR quality right there.
Unbelievable. That Phoenix Yamaha team is, those pit stops, they irritate me. I want to be able to replicate it.
A well-oiled machine down there. And speaking of the Phoenix Racing Yamaha, it seems like they have these ATVs figured out, whether it's on the motocross side of things or whether here in the woods. It is just a oiled machine.
Very well oiled. Well, looking at timing and scoring, Wyatt Wilkin is 19 seconds behind Brandon Owens. Brandon Owens was 6 seconds behind Bryson Neal now. Or no, it was Bryson Neal. Now it is Hunter Hart. So hopefully we can't see Brandon, but Wyatt is keeping himself in this race, in a podium contention, even really not that far out of the lead.
Yeah.
So we'll see what this next 2 laps brings us. Should be very interesting. It's tighter. I'm loving this like kind of tight stop and go. Lap traffic is being a huge factor right now. So I'm just really enjoying what I'm seeing. But we have Hunter Hart doing his best right now, trying to latch onto the rear wheels of Bryson Neal, but Bryson Neal just finding a little bit extra, just that little bit. And honestly, Hunter's kind of, a mistake. And Hunter Hart is going to go back to the lead.
I was going to say, it looked like Hart had the pass made.
Hunter Hart to the lead.
So how about that? That's a huge moment right there as well, being able to respond. So Hunter Hart retakes the #1 spot.
Man, we talk about confidence so much, that has to give Hunter Hart some confidence to be able to retake this lead.
Well, and Walker, you touched on this kind of stop and go nature that we're seeing. It seems like there's such a drastic difference between the pace that these two are running compared to those lap riders. They're not just having to check up, they're having to slam on the brakes to keep from running into the back of these riders.
Legitimately. They're coming to a complete stop.
See right there.
Again, so this is going to probably be the first race where lappers really are a big factor, and it's these 3-4 wide lines. Like, look at Hunter Hart just pushing riders around the track right now. When we had that close shot of Bryson Neal's quad, I had my face glued to the television here that we can see, and I don't see anything bent. Something could be tweaked maybe a little bit. I think he got into a tree, but I didn't see him coming into the turn, handlebars 45 degrees opposite of the front tires or anything like that. So I believe all systems go for Bryson Neal, but man, this gives Hunter Hart that little bit of confidence. He was able to stay close enough to capitalize on a mistake of a hard-charging Bryson Neal out front.
And that's something that we've talked about before. When that pass gets made, if you can get right back there, even if you don't immediately make the pass back, just keep the hopes alive. Maybe find out what Neal's doing a little bit differently. But like I said, something about Hunter Hart, he just seemed really fired up and aggressive right off the start. Maybe a chip on the shoulder, maybe just feeling the sands of South Carolina here today are his opportunity to take a win. And man, there's no better way they'd like to do it than to be able to have a true back and forth battle. We've already seen Hart and Owens go at it for a podium finish this season, but man, how about it? Bryson Neal and Hunter Hart trading the lead right now at the top of the XC1 field.
This is awesome. This is right now, it's a shame almost that the trees have to get foliage on them here real soon, because the live drone coverage right now is just a thing of beauty. This is masterclass flying.
A shout out to Gabe Scholl, our drone pilot there, making sure to give us the eyes in the skies as now we check in at the mile 2 marker. Man, these guys putting on a show right now.
Bryson Neal trying every different line, just getting out of that rust, getting out of the roost, or getting out of the ruts, getting out of the roost. Man,
what was your tongue twister earlier?
Say, what was that? Did you write it down?
Rough riders riding through rough roots.
Let's see. I'll get it.
He did write it down.
I did.
I was listening.
The GNCC tongue twister here. Riders ripping ruts around rough roots. Say that 5 times.
There we go. Trying to think here. I'm getting word from OP that I should remember parts of the Supercross track, which I'm trying to remember. Was it? Oh, that's right. I jumped really far on that. This year they're hitting that jump and they're turning left. The year that I had made a pass, we went straight, so I just kind of skied it out. It was pretty cool.
Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes, man. I like to get air under my tires as well as in the tires. But
Well, man, there's barely air between Hunter Hart and Bryson Neal right now as they are once again back fender to fender. Neal not quite looking like he's absolutely going for it. And you got to wonder whether or not maybe this is a not a strategy, but a position like we talked about, that calm demeanor from Bryson Neal. He just doesn't get phased. Yes, Hunter Hart made a pass back on him, but I don't think Bryson Neal's suddenly going, oh my gosh, what's going on? What am I doing? And so I think Neal right now is going to maybe play it a little calm. Also, something to be said about being the first rider to break through lap traffic. Maybe he wants to let Hunter Hart do the heavy lifting. Hunter Hart is doing the heavy lifting for sure. It is much easier to be where Bryson is, but so far Hunter Hart kind of unfazed. But what we were just watching, Bryson Neal is taking absolutely every alternate line available. And it looks like he is, I'm going to say he is trying everything right now to gauge a pass for the last lap. I think he is settled in and kind of not accepted that he's going to have to be in second for any kind of length of time here, obviously, as he almost makes a pass. But I think he's trying a lot of different stuff. He's got it right here. Ooh, it's a drag race. And got him. Wow, how about that? So another pass back, the #1 of Bryson Neal.
Yeah, this is a big moment here, guys, because you got to figure Hunter Hart was able to fire back, grab that lead back, and hold it for quite some time since he made that pass. But right now, this is push mode for Bryson Neal. He's going to try to break Hunter Hart. If he's able to open up even the smallest gap, it's going to be very disheartening for Hart. If Hunter Hart is able to fire back, get back that point position, that is a huge, huge boost to the confidence for Hunter Hart. And I was just going to say that right before it happened on screen, is to say that if Hunter Hart can hold him off till the white flag, that becomes a different race at that point, because now Bryson has to start not panicking, but thinking, hey man, I had a whole lap of chasing Hunter, wasn't able to make the pass. What's going to be different this lap? But he's obviously shown he has the speed, but Hunter Hart really, I wouldn't say back against the wall. We've got some lap riders, which are definitely going to factor in here. But if Hunter Hart can fire back, I really think he can put Bryson Neal for the first time in 2026 on the defense, and really knowing that he has a threat to take a win away from him.
Well, we've talked about the confident demeanor of Bryson Neal, but confidence is fleeting. It can very easily be shaken up. Already gotten passed back once. Bryson says, okay, yeah, maybe that was a lapper's issue or a line issue, but if Hart can re-close this gap, re-pass him once again, then Neal's got to be like, you know what, I know Hunter's got what it takes. Maybe he's got something figured out, and we've got a true back-and-forth battle on our hands.
Well, a little education for the folks at home. You see, when Bryson Neal's behind, you see him basically on the rear wheels of Hunter Hart. He seems to be so comfortable riding there. Hunter is a rider that we see do that quite often when he's trying to make the pass, but the fact that Bryson Neal is now opening up multiple bike length gaps that quickly, definitely showing he has more speed, and Hunter is really going to have to pull some magic out of the hat if he wants to try to match him. There's Brandon Owens still in that #3 spot, but now Wyatt Wilkin on the charge and almost to the rear wheels, wanting to mix it up for that final podium spot. Ever important to get on that podium at the end of the day. Thank the sponsors, you know, give a little wahoo to the fans, and right now Wyatt Wilkin is the man on the move, but you know Brandon Owens, we saw him under crazy pressure from Hunter Hart at round #1 and just held up like a seasoned veteran, even though he is new to this class and had never been, so far at least, put himself on the podium until just 3 weeks ago at Talladega.
So back on screen, Hunter Hart, and not seeing Bryson Neal. We'll try to pan the camera forward, see if we can catch.
He's there right ahead of him, but he has opened up about a 6-8 bike length gap now over Hunter Hart. And now it's more like 15-20 bike length gap. So Bryson Neal really, really pouring the coal to it, starting to open up that gap. And if you're Hunter Hart, you cannot let that gap open up. Here's why. One lap rider in between. If Bryson Neal's able to open up that gap just right where he's at right now, if he catches a lap rider at the right time for Hunter Hart, for Bryson to put that gap on Hunter Hart, it's curtains. This is the end of this race. Bryson Neal, not a guy who's going to give this race back. Hunter Hart's going to have to take it. He's going to have to get back to the rear wheels of Neal and put pressure on him and make sure every time Bryson passes a lapper, Hunter is right there to go by with him. And right now, frankly, he's just not close enough.
Yeah, and it was kind of that perfect storm after Bryson made the pass the first time. There was some lap traffic. It was a tight section. There was limited passing availability. It worked to the advantage of Hunter Hart. Meanwhile, this time, yes, they've passed a couple of riders, but it's been Wyatt wide open sections. It's not cost the rider in the second position a lot of time. Hart not quite been able to have the same luck here this time with the lappers.
Guys, we got a little shake-up in that XC2 class. Lane McCormick still leading the way, but Braxton Gross on the charge. We saw him last lap up to that number 3 spot after running 5th. There is Brandon Owens on screen in the number 3 spot. And coming through this blinding dust, just about any moment should be the number 5 of Wyatt Wilkin. That may be the front of that machine. It is hard on the charge, just bouncing through that old Supercross section and into the woods there at the 4-mile marker in the number 4 spot, chasing after that final podium position. But Braxton Gross has put in a charge. He's gotten around Danik Paquin, and he is trying to hunt down Lane McCormick. Looking at the gap here after 3 laps, it looks like it is Braxton Gross still 40 seconds behind. So Lane McCormick putting in an absolute charge. And now here is Jay Shadron in that number 5 spot. He has gotten around Josh Merritt, and he is running solidly inside the top 5. Another one of those rides where we say Jay Shadron just continues to surprise and continues to impress. Merritt's still hanging tough there in the number 6 spot, just behind Jay Shadron. We actually saw this same battle a few weeks ago over the number 4 spot, actually, between Shadron and Merritt, with Merritt coming out on top. But right here today so far, it's Jay Shadron. He's been able to make the pass. Josh Merritt still lurking back there, but that is the battle over the final position inside the top 5.
Man, this dust absolutely insane. Looks like, was that John Vlada Jr. making his way through?
Which means we have lost
Harrell, yep.
So Vlada has gotten around Harrell up to the number 7 spot there. And a rider who's been very fast in the sands of Camp Coker here for many, many years. His South Carolina native, I think Waxhaw, North Carolina is where he calls home, but I know when they ride, it's actually in South Carolina, their nearest riding area. So very close to home for him here, and conditions he's very familiar with. So we'll see what kind of a charge he can put in. But right now, charging, there is the big number 1 of Bryson Neal out front. Hunter Hart closed up the gap a little bit there. So we don't know if it's just the pure outright speed of Hunter Hart or potentially some lapped riders. But right now, he's making this one interesting. He is not letting Bryson Neal get away.
Yeah, Johnny, like you said earlier, this is definitely going to be the make or break. Hunter has to stay close enough to Bryson to not allow lap traffic to dive back in, and that's 5-10 bike lengths is too much.
Walker, speak a little bit about from your perspective as we wait for this battle for 3rd to materialize on screen here. You've been in both of the positions of both of these riders, being Bryson Neal and Hunter Hart. You've been the guy with the number 1 plate. You've been the guy that everybody thinks, not everyone, but people are starting to think is unbeatable. Suddenly you have someone come up and give you that challenge. For Bryson Neal, how important is this win today? Not in terms of points. He's in a great position with a massive points lead here already through 3 rounds of 2026. But momentum-wise, if he's able to just ride away from Hunter Hart, you know, how much does that mean to him? And flip side of the coin, if you're Hunter Hart, you know, it's not been the 2026 that he's been looking for so far. You've been both of these guys, which, you know, what do you feel like both these guys maybe has running through their heads?
Hunter knows what he has to do, and that's stay right behind him or get back in front of him and ride your own race. Get out of the route, get out of the roost, get out of the ruts, be able to see what's going on. Bryson Neal right now, it's time to put on a show. It's time to demoralize everyone. It's time to put us all back in our place where we belong, and this is his undefeated season to control. And that was always my mindset.
Oh, we're talking about it already. It's only round 4.
No, hey.
The word is coming up, undefeated. Can he run the table? Well, to run the table, he's got to get it done today. And to get it done today, he needs to hold off a very, very hard-charging Hunter Hart. And this one's far from over. Brandon Owens and Wyatt Wilkin sitting back there in the number 3 and 4 spot, still battling over that position. Zach, this one is far from over, and the battle continues on screen.
No doubt about it. Hey, real quick, attention in the pits here on site. Attention in the pits. We need the parents of Noah Likens to please report to the finish line. Once again, attention here on site. We need the parents of Noah Likens to report to the finish line. Well, things are heating up, and they're only going to get hotter as we enter the closing stages of this 2026 FMF Camp Coker Bullet ATV race. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be back with more live racing here on Racer TV.
Hey, race fans! Gear Bicycles is on hand today with the all-new Gen 4 Specialized Levo. They also have great deals on Gen 3 Levos and used bikes. Stop by their booth and see for yourself how fun it could be riding around these GNCC hills. Gear Bicycles is sponsored by Progressive. When you stop by their booth, you can find out why it's important to insure your e-bike, dirt bike, ATV, or RV. Once again, thanks for being here today, and enjoy your day.
We've been there since the very beginning.
20 laps, the main event, the mud, the blood, the beer.
Organizing the industry and building champions. "100 years of defending your rights to ride into the future."
Community, family, teamwork. It's what we have stood on for over a decade. Hauling might be what we do at the surface, but it's much deeper than that. Because what you need matters. When you need a haul, give us a call at 724-852-4488. For 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and 365 days a year, we at JD Enterprises are prepared to serve you.
Progressive GNCC Racing is brought to you by Progressive. Progressive could save you hundreds of dollars on your automobile and motorcycle insurance. Specialized e-turbo bicycles. It's you, only faster. Rocky Mountain ATVMC.com. Get ready.
Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to round 4 of the 2026 GNCC racing season. The FMF Camp Coker Bullet. And as you can see from our drone shot here, look, it's no secret. You guys have a lot of nice toys here at GNCC, whether we're talking about your vehicles, your campers, your RVs, your bike, your quads, and your ENTBs. Well, guess what? Progressive can help you save a couple of hundred, if not thousands of dollars on your insurance. Make sure you guys check them out. We had that QR code up on our screen. Go back, rewind it if you missed it, scan that thing, and find out. Go, just get a quote. Even if you're not totally committed to go into it, just get a quote. Find out how much you can save, and all that money you save you could put toward riding lessons. Maybe you can be as good as this guy on screen. Bryson Neal, the question was, could he open the gap up? I think he's answered that question, as we, I believe, saw Hunter Hart coming up right behind that rider. And yeah, now at this point, I think the damage is done. Bryson Neal trying to break the competition.
13 seconds in that camera shot, and that is an eternity from what it was. As we went to break, our spotter, David Hollywood Craig, talking about 2 seconds, and now it's opened up to 13. So somewhere in the last little section of racetrack there, Bryson Neal able to open up that gap, and Hunter Hart really now having a sense of urgency as we approach the completion of lap number 4, which will be a white flag waving, meaning only one more lap around this now very rough Camp Coker FMF Bullet GNCC. And look at this. This is the 2-line section through the pines, a very iconic section of this racetrack. So many times we've seen passes for the lead, for positions through here, but right now it is just this man out front and semi all alone. Bryson Neal leading the way, marching towards what could be the 4-for-4, wasn't it? The Wendy's 4-for-4,
like a Wendy's combo, baby.
There you go. There is now, looks like, has Wyatt Wilkin made the pass on Brandon Owens? He has. A new third place rider, Wyatt Wilkin, up into a podium position, and Brandon Owens there in the number 4 spot. Still a very respectable ride, and surely he's not going to back off and let Wyatt Wilkin get away. He's going to keep charging, but look at this. That looked to be Jay Shadron coming by there, so now he is not too far back either, and potentially putting himself up into the mix, not only for a battle for the 4th place spot, but just ahead of Brandon Owens on track is Wyatt Wilkin in that number 3 spot. So Jay Shad putting in a big charge here on lap number 4, getting himself up in the mix, and we're going to have to start keeping an eye on those gaps to see if we might have a 3-rider battle over that final podium position.
You think Jay Shad can, like, flash the brights, let him know to move over?
Absolutely. As soon as you flash those brights, the rider in front of you just moves right over, just like a courtesy on the highway. That's how that works. That's why he runs those headlights.
Great stuff going on. Well, no lights needed right now for Bryson Neal, as you can just kind of feel the earth start to shake when that Phoenix Racing Yamaha is headed up behind you as a freight train is rolling forward, and it's the Bidwell Bullet trying to be the king of the FMF Camp Coker Bullet here today.
I'll tell you what I see that Bryson Neal is doing so well on camera here. He's missing a lot of the holes in the square edge. He's kind of linking this track together differently than the other riders. He's running outsides and then moving to the insides. He's just carrying more speed, but also at the same time running just a few, not even a few, in some cases a fraction of a tire width different line than some of the other riders, finding smooth running ground. And as the track continues to get rougher, with only one more lap here, it really could pay dividends for him as he continues to just absolutely rip this Camp Coker track to pieces. But finding smooth running ground in conditions like this is so difficult, and Bryson Neal just making it look easy.
Well, and I couldn't agree more. And this is something I think Walker Fowler pointed out that last lap. Even when he was behind Hunter Hart, he refused to follow, but it seemed like a lot of those lines he was trying was to do just that. Open the corners up, approach way from the outside, then cut across to the inside of the main line. And so even when Bryson Neal's still on the attack, still got another rider to put behind him, he's still exploring, and now that he's out front, he's able to execute that, and he's actually using those lines that we thought he was trying to find to pass to increase the gap between himself and the rest of the competition.
Well, there's a lot to be said for that too, though. Number one, you cannot pass a rider you're following directly in the same line. This track tends to slot car up, as we call it. There's those 2 ruts that if you just follow in the same 2 ruts, there's no possible way you can make a pass. So Bryson Neal always keeping his options open, running different lines, even if it's not a faster line. You know, if Hunter Hart makes one little mistake, he knew he was in the position to possibly make the pass. But the bigger thing is you're finding lines that other riders aren't using, and it's that race IQ that Bryson has. He is such a smart rider, has developed now a 4-time champion, so many time race winner. I'm sure we got the tally here somewhere, but he keeps moving up that list. And when you get that confidence, you're not worried about doing what the guy in front of you does. You're doing your own thing, because no arrogance from Bryson, but just so much confidence of knowing, hey, I have the pace, I have the speed, I'm going to ride my race, and these guys, if they're going to beat me, they're going to have to come take it from me. And so far in 2026, Hunter Hart coming close today, and this one is not over. We are still waiting after just 1, 2, 3 more corners here. We will see a white flag waving in the hands of Ricky Towery. But while it's not over, this one is starting to look like the potential for another Bryson Neal win here.
Man, and we've talked about how buttery smooth Bryson Neal's been, and I've seen him get a couple of big kicks even in the last few sections. So it just goes to show, even when you're almost perfect, this course can still reach up and grab you. Saw him get kicked midway through that berm in one of those corners, and got a big kick right there approaching the finish line as well. So still a lot of racing left to go. Anything possible here at GNCC, but Bryson Neal for the moment just looks like you can't catch this guy off guard. Fully in control of that Phoenix Yamaha and leading the way with 1 lap to go. Here comes Hunter Hart checking in.
Jackson, if we refresh there, we can get the gap back to Hunter Hart in the number 2 spot, as he has now checked in with 4 laps complete, and the gap is
26.8 seconds, going to be the new gap.
A big change from a lap ago and even just a few miles ago. And we're looking back here waiting. We do not yet see Wyatt Wilkin on the number 5 machine sitting in that number 3 spot. Last we had seen just about a mile ago. But again, starting still not far behind him was Brandon Owens in the number 4 spot, and Jay Shadron up into the 5th spot is there lurking and potentially working towards getting himself into that battle. I believe that may be Wilkin now rounding that right-hander and seeing the white flag waving, knowing just 1 more lap for him to hold on to that position or potentially try to put in a charge as we look at the gaps and see how far back it is. There's Brandon Owens back in the distance, so still very much in the fight for that podium position. And look at that, we get the nod in from Bryson Neal. Don't know if we've seen a full lock in today. We did see him kind of drop the arm there, maybe shaking out a little bit of arm pump or tight hands, but this guy is a machine, and he is ripping this Camp Coker race course to pieces and leaving the competition in his wake.
It's just so fun to see somebody with so much success under their belt. You could argue, you know, what is there left to prove? And it seems like when there's a rider in front of him, he's like that guy trying to get his first ever win. He is just absolutely on it. He's calm, he's calculated, but at the same time, there's no question whether or not Bryson Neal is still fired up and hungry to try to snatch each and every one of these wins away. And I mean, even just something like that section right there, he's wide open on the attack still. It's just so fun to watch Bryson Neal, even when he doesn't necessarily always have to, just annihilate these courses lap after lap.
Well, at this point, Bryson likely does not know how big of a gap he's opened up over Hunter Hart, so he may be still trying to put in that push to break Hunter Hart, and that might be the intensity that we're seeing. If he gets a pit board, he knows he's approaching that 30-second mark. It seems like Bryson Neal kind of gets the warm and fuzzies round about that 30, 40-second mark. That's where we see him kind of settle in to a pace and really stop worrying about what's, not that he's worried, but really stop kind of thinking about being so aggressive. Wyatt Wilkin very much on the charge there in the number 3 spot. And if we look at those gaps, see what we're looking at there, Jackson. What do we have materializing for that podium battle potentially between Wilkin, Owens, and Shadron?
So like we said, Neal and Hart, 26.8 seconds. Then we see from Hart back to Wilkin, 46.5. Then from Wilkin to Owens, 13.8. And then from Owens to Shadron for your top 5, it is 5 seconds, and then things going to really tighten up from Shadron back to Merritt with only 1.5 seconds separating those two.
So Josh Merritt now in the mix, back in that number 6 spot. So we have realistically 4 riders that are very much in a battle over those that final podium position there in 3rd with 46 seconds. Hunter Hart seemingly safe there in the number 2 spot. But as that battle behind them continues to push those guys, could they close up the gap? We'll all hope, heck, we'll hope that Bryson Neal comes back to that battle, and we have 6 riders battling over 3 podium positions. But right now it definitely looks like it's going to be a 3-rider battle over that number 3 spot between Wilkin, Owens, Shadron, and Merritt. 4-rider battle. Hunter Hart on screen again, a little bit less than 30 seconds behind Bryson Neal there for the lead. And next we will see Wyatt Wilkin on that big number 5. Little different color scheme this weekend for Wyatt, running the white front fenders, black rear. He always changes it up, gives us a different look almost every weekend, just kind of keeping things fresh for the fans. And he said he likes to look unique, likes us to be able to pick him out.
Well, he's lost the hair, so he's got to come up with something else now, right?
No more luscious locks.
Great stuff from Wyatt, and man, you've talked about the consistency and how important even something like this final podium's could be as far as the big picture goes. We remember Wyatt Wilkin running that number 3 last year, maybe a little bit disappointed with dropping back to the 5th overall spot, but seems like he's reclaimed whatever that excitement and power was he had last year, as we see him right there on your screen. Wilkin, super consistent so far here, and been able to maintain, even if the finishes haven't showed it, the speed and the consistency shows that he's got what it takes to be a threat for, if not the title, then at least that number 2 spot in the championship.
Absolutely. Now here is the battle over 4th. There's Brandon Owens in the number 4 spot. There is Jay Shadron in the number 5 spot. And right about there is Josh Merritt in 6th. So that's 4th, 5th, and 6th, all basically in the same corner at the same time. These guys are really, really pushing the pace. We'll see how that materializes. Will they be able to close up the gap to Wyatt Wilkin? Right now, Wyatt Wilkin, as you had pointed out, a lot of confidence, sitting in a great points position after 3 rounds of racing, has been much more consistent in 2026. Again, with that number 3 after the 2024 season, we saw a bit of a lull from him, had some DNFs to start the season, had some off races. This year we've seen a much stronger and more refreshed Wyatt Wilkin showing here today, running solidly in a podium position. Zach, you mentioned the word big picture a few minutes ago. Yep. You know, for Hunter Hart, big picture, this has been his, probably equaling Florida as his best ride of 2026. So even if he's not able to get the win today, which is starting to slip from his grasp, he led a lot of the race. He battled Bryson Neal. He passed him back. He's been consistent and strong all day long. This, in my opinion, not that that's worth much, is a performance that Hunter Hart can absolutely build off of. It's a guy like Bryson Neal, when you're out front like that, the confidence is there. Hunter Hart, it's kind of been up and down, not just the first part of 2026, but through all of 2025. And this is a big day, I believe, for Hunter Hart, saying, yep, okay, this is the guy I know I can be. These are the kind of performances I know I can put in. And if he can do this week in and week out and keep himself in these positions, he's very much not only still in the mix for wins, but potentially keep himself in the fight for this 2026 championship.
Yeah, you know, when it comes to somebody like Hunter, it's something like, I remember when I first kind of came into GNCC, it was Bryson Neal, Hunter Hart, and Cole Richardson, and it was consistently those three battling it out, and it was a frequent battle for the top spot. Bryson had some issues going on. It seemed like everybody was able to grab a win, and it was coming down to the wire where it wasn't just fighting for wins, but that overall big picture of a championship as well. Meanwhile, since then, it seems like Hunter just hasn't been able to keep that consistency up. He kind of dropped off, and he even talked to us last year about kind of recreating his whole program, going back to the drawing board, switching up the way he approaches things, and we've kind of seen this new life, whether it's a new life or a regaining of life from Hunter Hart. It really seems like it's come out. Even something as simple as running that 318 number. I believe that was his amateur number growing up, and there's something about it subconsciously where it's just going back home to your old school number, going back and feeling comfortable with yourself. And it seems like when Hart's had these successes, he's been able to focus on that, and I couldn't agree more. I think something like this needs to be looked at not as a race lost, but as a positive race to push forward from.
John Galata Jr. kind of there in no man's land in the number 7 spot. The battle for 4th just up the trail in front of him, but he's got a pretty sizable gap over Stephen Harrell there in the number 8 spot. But speaking of riders that are gaining confidence, looking big picture, let's talk for a minute, Zach, about Brandon Owens coming out absolutely swinging at round number 1, very nearly putting himself on the podium, having that position kind of on lock with just a few corners to go. Hunter Hart able to make the pass when Brandon connected with that tree there, and able to wrestle that position away and get that podium. But Brandon Owens, you know, that was a big confidence builder. Florida, the opposite. A rider that he said, man, I spent the winter in Florida. I thought I was ready for the sand. When it came right down to it, I was not. Well, here we're back in the sand. Not only has he been in a podium position throughout much of this one, sitting solidly in that 4th place spot. A lot of pressure behind him, but right now in that 4th place spot, in a sand race. That's got to be a big, big confidence builder for Brandon Owens and that Sturdivant team around him, knowing, hey, we've got the bike figured out. We've got Brandon's head figured out. This kid is not just a top 10 guy. He's battling for podiums now. This will be 3 out of the 4 races that he's been in a position to battle for a podium throughout the entirety of the race. That is big for a rider that, frankly, I don't mean this in a condescending way, but wasn't on a lot of people's radar for podiums. We knew he was a solid top 10 guy. We'd seen him finish inside the top 5. He's a good, strong rider, but I don't think he was on anybody's short list of podium contenders coming into 2026, and he's proving all those people, including me, wrong, and I couldn't be happier to see it.
Well, and it validates all that work throughout the offseason as well. I think probably had some questions, some scratching of the head after Florida. Well, meanwhile, after this one, if he's able to hang on even for this 4th place finish under the pressure that you've talked about for the entirety of this race, maybe a little sigh of relief going, okay, the offseason in Florida did pay off. I do know how to ride the sand, and I know how to ride under pressure from the best off-road GNCC racers that there is. So for somebody like Owens, this full season, it seems like the notepad has been out. He's been putting himself in uncomfortable situations being up front. And yes, he may have lost a couple of positions. Yes, might be even off the podium at this round, but the experience and the confidence that he's gaining round after round, not to mention he's backing it up every single time. He's frequently putting himself up there in these situations. Owens, by the mid part of this season, he's really going to be comfortable inside the top 5 and fighting for podiums.
Absolutely. He's already showing it. And on screen, oh, that's actually not Wyatt Wilkin there. Thought it was for a moment. But while we wait for Wyatt Wilkin, our 3rd place rider, to come through, Brandon Owens freshly graduated just in his sophomore full season. He ran a little bit at the end of 2024 in that XC1 class. But coming out of that XC2 class, we actually have a new leader in that class. Braxton Gross has gone to the front. He's worked his way around Lane McCormick. McCormick now sitting in the 3rd place spot. Danik Paquin, the rider out of Canada, has also made the charge up and taken over the number 2 spot, with Lane McCormick now rounding out the top 3 in XC2 and 12th overall. So a big shake up there. McCormick dropping from the lead back to 3rd, Gross going to 1st, and Danik Paquin up into 2nd. Here we see this is the battle over 4th. Merritt in 6th, just ahead of him, Jay Shadrack 5th, and right ahead of them is Brandon Owens in that number 4 spot. So the pressure is still there, and Owens is still weathering the storm quite well.
Well, and to your point there, Johnny, got to give a big shout out to that XC2 class. I mean, your top 3, Gross, Paquin, and McCormick, 3 really unique stories. Obviously, Gross coming from the West Coast that first year, really understanding what GNCC is all about, the different kind of elements that they're dealing with, and the guy is always just so positive. He's embraced all the challenges. Meanwhile, Danik Paquin coming down from Canada. I remember the first time I interviewed him, he kind of warned me. At first, I barely speak any English. His English has gotten better, and I think his riding's gotten significantly better as well, consistently battling for podiums. And then Lane McCormick, who at one point had stepped away from racing, got on the podium earlier this season. First thing out of his mouth was, who's washed up now? He's back, he's feeling better, and he once again is showing he can consistently fight for podiums. So really cool storylines all the way through this XC1 class and well into the XC2 as well. And even some of our top amateurs we've seen reaching up inside the top 20 multiple times throughout the season.
Absolutely. It's been a great opening part of this 2026 season. And to what you were saying there with that XC2 class, you know, that's a Pro-Am class, kind of a development for guys that may be looking to make the jump into XC1. And you talk about three different stories. You know, Lane McCormick stepping away, a former youth overall champion, a standout rider in the College A classes, had some good performances in XC2, and then frankly some changes in family structure there, some different things going on in his personal life, and him saying, hey, I need to step away from racing, become a man, develop my career, and really didn't even have coming back to racing on his radar, and getting the opportunity from Brad Whitehead and the Whitehead brothers there saying, hey, we'll build you a bike, we want to see you, we know you have talent, we want to have you back out on track and showing what you're capable of, and doing that in a big way here in 2026. Danik Paquin, again, a rider who didn't grow up racing GNCC, races the series. Oh, look at this, new fourth place rider, Jay Shadron, has gotten around Brandon Owens, and Josh Merritt now applying heavy pressure from the number 6 spot, so that continues to be the battle for 4th, 5th, and 6th. But yeah, Paquin came in completely under the radar. Our buddy Gab Nod, know he's watching from home, had warned us about Paquin, saying, hey, this guy's the second fastest guy from Canada, because I'm the fastest. Well, he's come down, he's made some serious waves here in GNCC racing the last couple of years, specifically in the sand races, but doing very well, driving the win just 3 weeks ago in Talladega, and I believe that was his first win in that XC2 class. So definitely really showing up on the radar and saying, hey, not only am I a Canadian champion, I can compete here in the biggest off-road ATV racing series in the world, in GNCC in the States. And what a commitment to come down. I mean, this guy's from French-speaking Canada, so it's not like he's right across the border. He is way up there in Quebec somewhere, and you know, he comes down, races these races, travels down, can't even imagine how long those drives are. Full commitment out of Danik Paquin, family, friends, sponsors, and then again, you pointed out Braxton Gross, the California kid, a standout performer in the Works races, actually winning Works overalls when he was 15, 16 years old against some of the best riders on the West Coast. Now really starting to cut his teeth here in GNCC and having himself in a good position to potentially earn this 2026 XC2 title. So it's talent development. These are riders that we expect that if they continue on the path they're on, we'll be talking about them battling for overall wins and overall podiums in that XC1 class here in just a short amount of time.
Yeah, and the depth goes further than that as we see Harrison Lindsay now jumping up inside the top 20 out of some of our A classes. So this is what we love to talk about and to grow as well. I mean, we had on-track schools in here earlier, and something like on-track, it just aligns itself so well to what is required to be a top athlete nowadays. And we hear from our top youth riders, our top amateur riders, they're already on the full pro race program, right? They've got the nutrition dialed in, they're putting work in during the week, they're riding during the week. On-track doing a great job of allowing them to continue their education while they do that, because you very early on have to decide, hey, if I'm going to do this, we're going to go all in if we really want a chance to be one of these top athletes. So really cool to see the depth as we're here year 51 of GNCC, and it's looking bright, we'll put it like that.
Well, you know, perfect example of that. You just mentioned Harrison Lindsay popping into our overall leaderboard there in the number 20 spot. There is Jay Shadron, our new 4th place rider. Here comes Josh Merritt now up into the number 5 spot. He has also gotten around Brandon Owens, and we do see Owens there in the number 6 spot. So no panic if you're Brandon Owens. I'm sure he will not be happy to let 4th place slip away on this last lap walker, but still a very solid performance here for him. But looking at Harrison Lindsay, give him a little bit of love here for a minute. It's not often we see these top amateur riders pop up into the overall. Harrison, a rider who was a standout rider as a youth rider, kind of came into the afternoon race and realized just how rough that PM track is. And frankly, I don't know if he'd be upset talking about it, but I think his fitness was the issue. Always has had great speed, and basically Dad said, or family said, hey, we're not, you know, putting all this commitment into it if you're not going to. This year, working with Levi Cohen, Outlier Performance, I know you've worked with Levi as well. Levi lining him out of program, and for the first time, H-bomb, as they call him, Harrison, saying, I'm going to do the work and see what I'm capable of. And he's already got a win in 2026 from that College A class. He's already finished inside the top 20 overall, and he's had some crazy battles with Pullen in that College A class, and those guys have been pushing themselves up well inside the top 20 overall. It's really showing on a very rough Camp Coker racetrack that he's put in the work, and this is what he's capable of for the future.
Yeah, it's awesome to see. You know, a lot of these riders starting, not even in the early days of Blue Crew University, riders that were years after, when they were just little pups, and now they're out here, late teens, early 20s, just absolutely crushing it. And it's just crazy to think how much time has gone by, which makes me even more sad, but that's for another conversation.
Well, if you want to talk about that, Hunter Hart, a graduate of the GNCC University at Snowshoe, Wyatt Wilkin, a graduate, John Galata Jr., a graduate. So we have 3 just in the top 7 there who came up through that program, and all said they learned some valuable lessons, which then they would take and put on us later in life and, and come back and beat us. So sometimes they say you don't want to teach a young dog new tricks because they'll show the old dog how to do it better, but there's nothing better than being able to pass that race knowledge and little tips and tricks down, and that Blue Crew University program, a great way to do just that. Coming up this summer at the John Penton facility there in Millfield, Ohio, July 17th through the 19th. There's, if you go over to the Blue Crew tent there's some sign-up information. You can scan the QR code, get yourself signed up. If you are signed up for Blue Crew, you can register. It is completely free, costs you nothing. All you have to do is be signed up for Blue Crew. Come on out, and maybe we'll get Bryce and Neil out this year to teach us not only how to win races. Walker, you the best ever to do that, but Bryce and Neil, maybe we get him to teach what that lock-in is and how he can pass that information along.
Yep, the lock-ins, the clock-ins.
The nod-ins.
The nod-ins. If he's in the streets, it's probably like the Glock-ins. I mean, there could be, we never know.
He keeps it interesting, keeping it interesting out front, opening up that gap over Hunter Hart in the number 2 spot. Sitting back there in third, Wyatt Wilkin. Now, Brandon Owens has dropped back to that number 6 spot. It appears to be the Shadron-Merritt battle that we saw just a few weeks ago at Talladega materializing again. This time, it's Shadron in the number 4 spot and Merritt chasing from 5th. We saw the opposite just 3 weeks ago at Talladega. How will that one shake out? We don't know. Brandon Owens still lurking back there in the number 6 spot. And just how far back are those guys from Wyatt Wilkin? Well, first, we're going to see Hunter Hart here. That gap continuing to open up. Bryce Neal seemingly having this one under control, but still having a lot of racetrack, several miles ahead of him to finish up, to put the finishing touches on this one. It'll be a bit until we see Wyatt Wilkin here in the number 3 spot, and then we'll see what that gap is back to Shadron in 4th, Merritt in 5th, and also Brandon Owens in the number 6 spot.
Shadron actually posted a video of that battle in Merritt, commenting back to it, saying, great battle, had a lot of fun with it. I'm sure that won't be the last. I doubt he realized it was going to be just in a couple days' time, and they're going to be right back at it.
Absolutely. Those guys, good friends, both riding for that Action Off-Road team. Stewart Boys Racing, Jason Stewart supporting so many riders here. They've got a full rig set up there on Pro Row with, I believe it's 6 riders underneath that setup, and he just loves GNCC racing. Both of his boys grew up through the GNCC ranks. Charlie actually going, oh, look at that, a little sidekick from Wyatt Wilkin, but Charlie Stewart actually going out and racing this morning in the sportsman class there in the morning race, and I saw he didn't quite fire so quickly off the line, but he just went ahead and rode a wheelie for the fans. So that family invested in GNCC and invested in this battle right now. It is Jay Shadron around the outside and Josh Merritt, heavy pressure there, trying to find running room to potentially make the pass on Jay Shadron, and it looks like they now have gapped out a little bit over the 6th place ride of Brandon Owens. Back to the front, Bryson Neal out front, the Bidwell Bullet doing bullet things at the Camp Coker Bullet, so the Bullet has the bullet handled, but right now he is making it look so easy. Again, this is that section of track where he seems to be able to just link the corners together, missing a lot of those deeper holes. Walker, speak a little bit about this running surface. We're looking here from the live drone, but not near as smooth as it looks out there from the drone, is it?
It's definitely not, and as you can see there, Bryson utilizing the outside of that berm and then cutting across it to get into that inside, even though he's behind lap traffic. I believe that was the preferred line, so just smart riding, getting out of the rough stuff, and just, like you said earlier, piecing the track together differently, using his rider IQ and just his experience and his knowledge, and honestly, at this point, this is where your fitness really comes into play, because if you have to think about riding the bike, that's when you start missing your lines and you don't start thinking about moving around. But when you're fresh, you're good, and you feel at this point in the race, an hour and 52 minutes, you are just out there linking together, just putting the next little chip in front of you and the next one and the next one.
Well, at this point, it is just a few short sections of racetrack, and we'll see Bryson Neal headed into the finish line and a checkered flag waving. 4-4-4 is what he's looking at. 4 wins to start the 2026 season. We won't call it just yet. He's still got a few corners remaining here, but Bryson Neal putting on a masterful performance, starting about mid-pack. but charging his way up through the pack. We saw him up into a podium position, then pressuring Hunter Hart, and then battled in that battle with Hunter Hart, and ultimately looking like he is going to come out on top. But look at this, the battle between Josh Merritt and Jay Shadron rages on. That is over the 4th place spot. There we see Brent Sturdivant heading down into the woods looking for his rider, Brandon Owens. Maybe not getting the word that he's dropped back just a little bit, but still solidly there in the number 6 spot. But here he is, the man of the day, the man of the year so far, the man of the last 4 years. Bryson Neal making it look easy on that Phoenix Racing Yamaha. Looks like we've got a little bit of... That is Bryson Neal. Yep. So he's got a little off track. He's got enough time to play with, but that just goes to show this track will jump up and bite you. Even just the slightest little lapse in judgment, maybe getting a little too high on the berm. We've actually seen quite a bit of that out of Bryson this year, seeming like he's carrying so much speed into these corners. It's like the berm won't hold, and he ends up blowing through the berm, ends up in a tree, but always calm, cool, collected, hops off that machine. We know the rumor is he actually bench presses his four-wheeler. Those things weigh around 420 pounds. That's part of his training program. Goes out in the garage, takes that thing off the stand, does his bench presses. I think he's working towards being able to actually deadlift it as well.
I think he's trying to deadlift his house. Let's be honest. I think we're beyond the ATV at this point.
He is an athlete. You pointed that out earlier. This man puts in the work, not only on the bike, not only in the gym, as you can tell by his performance here today, but it really is just his racecraft, his race IQ that has really been impressive to me this first part of 2026, seemingly unshaken, unfazed by anything. Doesn't matter if he gets the good start, the bad start, just methodically works his way through, gets himself to where he knows he needs to be, which is out front. And then like today, just setting a pace that no one else is able to match. He's really trying to make this 2026 season a foregone conclusion, but with 13 races, it's far from that.
Sure is a full GNCC season. It's hard to piece together, but so far Bryson Neal has been able to do it. Just has a few more corners to go, and he'll be on his way to a checkered flag in the hands of Ricky Towery. Checking in with Wyatt Wilkin now as he makes his way through in that colorful gear.
Sitting in the number 3 spot, and looking back, we may see there is Jay Shadron in the number 4 spot, looking like he's opened up a little bit of breathing room now over the number 3 of Merritt. Merritt was right on him in that last camera shot, and yes, he has. Don't know if it was a mistake from Merritt or if Jay Shadron sensing the pressure, just opening up the throttle and opening up the gap, but that one just a few miles left to go. May not come to fruition, the battle, but Bryson Neal getting a little loose there. Again, those berms, he's so fast the berms can't even hold him.
Yeah, just it's so impressive how he pieces things together. Even with the rear end kicks and everything, he's just moving around 6 inches here, going on top of that center kind of berm almost, and then going back to the outside, back to the inside. You know, lengthening the track, but doing an awesome job.
Here it is. The Bidwell Bullet has fired off, and he has his eyes set on his target now. Bryson Neal trying to make it 4 wins in 4 races. The final corner, and he gets the job done. Bryson Neal going to be the overall winner here at the FMF Camp Coker Bullet.
Strong performance from the Bidwell Bullet here today, coming from mid-pack. Not the start he was looking for, but just setting a pace, putting his head down, and getting it done. Stepping off the machine, looking fresh as ever.
I still vote that this is a Glock-in. It just seems appropriate at this point.
Well, the big number 1 on the side of the helmet there, and for a reason. This guy has been untouchable so far in 2026. 4 races, 4 wins, and another dominating performance for Bryson Neal. But I think the big shakeup of the day, Hunter Hart coming across in the number 2 spot, getting out front early, grabbing that hole shot, leading so much of this race, battling Bryson Neal wheel to wheel, actually passing him back. A great performance for Hunter Hart here today. A number 2 spot on the day, but a great ride and a solid podium performance for Hunter Hart there. 2nd overall on the day.
No doubt. I think he's really starting to show some maturity. And same thing, his racecraft has gotten better, and his fitness has absolutely gotten better. I believe wholeheartedly in the past that's been kind of an issue with him, and I think he's understood that. And honestly, he's bulked up a little bit, almost put on a little bit of weight, have that reserve for the end of the race.
Here we see the final podium position, working his way through the final sections of racetrack. Wyatt Wilkin, just a few corners between him and another podium for the 2026 season. Wyatt Wilkin 2nd in points coming into today and looking like he will maintain that position. just one more corner to go. Wyatt Wilkin still charging, and a podium performance for Wyatt Wilkin in that action off-road Stewart Brothers Racing machine coming across the line. P3 for Wyatt Wilkin.
5 Machine seals the deal.
He absolutely did not want to see those headlights coming.
Well, we'll see, and there are the headlights. So that close to a podium for Jay Shadron. Hats off to him. A great charge late in that one, and there is Josh Merritt crossing the line in 5th. So another Merritt Shadron battle, and that drew them almost up to the rear wheels of Wyatt Wilkin at the end. But Wyatt Wilkin on the podium, and pretty soon we'll get a word from our man Zach Herron down there with Bryson Neal, today's winner, 2nd place, Hunter Hart, and Wyatt Wilkin rounding out the podium.
While we wait for Zach to get ready, man, I have to say I'm very, very proud of the headlight shining there. Jay Shadron, he has really been coming alive here in 2026. Seeing Zach stand by, waiting on Bryson to get ready down there, and we'll throw it down, hear some words from him. But still waiting on our 6th, 7th, 8th place riders to check in. Let's see, and Brandon Owens does check in that 6th place spot. Then it's John Glotter Jr., who last rider that we have checked in the 7th place position.
Ooh, John Glotter Jr. was only 1 second behind Brandon Owens.
Yeah, he's
sounds like our man Zach Herron going to be standing by with Bryson Neal.
All right, thanks, guys. I'm down here listening to the post-race debrief between Bryson Neal and Hunter Hart. We're talking tracks, we're talking lap traffic, but we're talking 4 for 4 in 2026. That one probably sounds pretty good. Bryson, we were just talking, man, the lap traffic, definitely a talking point here this weekend. It didn't slow you down too much, but nonetheless, man, it's sometimes so unpredictable when you get up on some of these riders. Take us through Camp Coker and how you fought through that to get this done.
Yeah, man, we had to fight for this one. On the start, I just spun like crazy, and I think I was just mid-pack somewhere, 7th, 8th, going into the woods, and it was dusty. It was sketchy. The track was real rough, real demanding, really tough to pass today, so had to really earn that one. Just made passes where I could, just kept marching my way to the front. Phoenix ATV Yamaha was just, man, it was superb, dude. Donnie Lucy at Blue Crew Yamaha, man, he's here this weekend. It's so awesome to have him out and put on a good race in front of him, and Yamaha as well. This machine, we're feeling great on it. So we just marched our way through the pack, was able to make good passes, was able to make a pass right before the pit on Hunter, in and out of the pit. And then like Hunter came over here and was talking, I was really trying to uncork it, and the lip of this jump that I was just, launching the whole race, they just got just a little bit cupped out, and it just caught me enough sideways. And I saw it as I was going up the face, locked up the brakes, but it wasn't enough where I just went sideways, and my right rear tire caught the tree, pinballed me. It was enough for Hunter to get back by, and I was like, man, you bonehead. All that work for nothing, but I was able to just stay on him, get the pass within, I think, 2 miles from there, get some fresh trail for the first time, I think, with the last lap, and, enjoy that Camp Coker track. This is one of my favorites. It's rough, it's nasty. We did a 5-lap race this weekend. Elka Shocks was amazing, but tuned by Impact Solutions. Ken the tires was ripping. DAS engines, DAS exhaust, everything, man, was on point, and we're really pumped to bring this home. I want to give it to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, my family back home. They know how much this means to me. Off the track racing this year, it's been a little bit far from normal, but, Brooke, Mom, all my family and friends back home, you guys know this one's special. Thank you guys for having my back, and feels good to be strong.
There it is. Bryson Neal had to work for it, but this man loves to put in the work.
Well, there you go. Another win for Bryson Neal here at the start of 2026. Perfect on the season so far. We're not going to use the U word, but at some point we will start talking about it. But 4 wins to start the season. That is just an exclamation point for Bryson Neal. He's been virtually untouchable so far in 2026.
He sure has, man. Hunter Hart, first time we really saw somebody get to lead a few laps here, and going to get to catch up with him here in just a second and hear what he has to say about it. Sounds like he's ready to go right now. We'll throw it down to Hunter Hart.
All right, thanks, guys. Down here with Hunter Hart. He is fired up, and as he should be, man. What a ride. You had a true back-and-forth battle there with Bryson Neal. Just take us through where you were feeling at, man. I could see, first of all, what a start. Around the outside, we get the job done, and it seemed like that just kind of set the race in motion. Take us through it.
Yeah, man, after the way Talladega went, Well, I told my mom today was the day the train went back on the tracks, and I'll be damned if it wasn't fully on the tracks today. Yeah, start was phenomenal. You know, Zach Osborne, my trainer, and I, he basically said we got to fix those, and we went to work on those this week, and just got those figured out a little bit. You know, yeah, from there we were leading. You know, Braxton got me right before the finish. I was hoping to get credit for leading three of the five, but you know, it's all good. Then he tried to put a sprint on, tagged a tree. I managed to get back by him. And then actually before that, like I was holding, I think, a 15-ish second gap, and I just tagged a tree and did one of those like shimmy over the bars. Bike was still on. I was holding the clutch, but I was like laying up front of it. And they just got close to me there, and then I was like, damn, like that was my buffer. And then I knew that I couldn't let Bryson run away, and you know, we were trying hard. He just had a little extra speed. You know, like he was just you know, straight up faster, which is okay. You know, we can work with that. You know, it was good. Nice to lead some. You know, this is how Hunter Hart knows how to ride an ATV, and I'll be damned if we weren't riding this thing well today. And you know, it's good. You know, we've been working hard. You know, just on some big setup changes recently. And it's just been good. You know, Mark Notman builds one hell of an ATV, and you know, it was nice. You know, it was nice to just honestly know that we can go fast, and you know, show everybody how fast we actually can go on an ATV, and it's good. You know, 5 laps was pretty gnarly out there. Hands are good though. Hands are in mint condition for doing those 5. I feel good. You know, like we're not tired. We're trending in the right direction there as well, and I think we're just going to be able to just keep building. You know, I was happy to see Walker was here today. You know, that always, you know, lightens the mood a little bit when I can see WF's here. But no, good day battling with Bryson, and just a day we needed, truthfully. You know, it's good. It's just good.
There it is. Hunter Hart puts the train back on the tracks, turns it into a second place here today.
There it is, boys. Good to hear from Hunter Hart. Man, what a day it was for him.
Well, you know, there's not much you can say about today besides the fact that Hunter Hart definitely has served notice that he wants to be up in the mix. Well, he always wants to be there, but he has the stuff to be in the mix, and he is definitely there ready to fight Bryson Neal week in and week out. We saw it today. We saw a little bit of it in Florida, but he's seemingly getting stronger as the season goes on, and this is surely not the last we've seen of Hunter Hart battling for podium positions and battling for wins.
And speaking of it, Wyatt Wilkin going to be standing by, ready to go with Zach Karen.
All right, thanks, guys. Yeah, another hard-fought podium finish here for Wyatt Wilkin. Wyatt, we had to earn this one, man. We worked our way forward in tough conditions to be closing gaps and pushing through here in the dust of Camp Coker. Take us through how you're feeling on your ride today.
Yeah, man, today was different. I got a lot of stories. Off the start, we knew start was going to be really big. We came to the first corner. It was a shorter start, so we all just crammed into each other. Got shoved way out wide, and I was like mid-pack 7th, something like that, 8th. And then on that first lap, man, it was so dusty. I was just trying to just ride smart, keep the bike going forward, and actually got lucky. A couple people got together, got some easy passes there. Yeah, and I honestly didn't know where everybody was at. Normally, I'm really good about keeping track where everybody's at, but where that first corner we all hit, I had zero idea. We got through first lap. I looked back, B. Neal was back there, and I was like, all right, this guy runs away on this track. This is his place. So let's just try to keep him behind, play the dust, just try to keep him behind me, and did that for about a lap. And we got here in the back, and this is a section that he's so fast in. He was all over me. I was like, all right, let him go and follow. Just see what he's doing in that section is different than me. So we did that, followed him through there, and then just kept chugging along. On my 4th lap, absolute mayhem, freaking got into a lapper right before pro pits. Not a half mile later, another lapper didn't see me cut over, put me in a tree. And then probably 2 or 3 miles later, man, another lapper dude was on one side. He was looking over. He thought I was on the right side. I was on the left. He swerved right in front of me. I sucked up into the back of him, and man, I was just like, what is going on here? I don't ever get into any lappers, and 3 lappers in one race one lap was just crazy. Yeah, just kind of set sail there. I ended up catching BO. He clipped the tree. I gave him a thumbs up, make sure he was good, and then he was all over me. I was like, oh, he's good, let's race. So, no, man, just to bring it home with a 3rd was awesome. I felt like I was pushing all day. Felt really good, but the gaps were really, really close, so just got to work on some stuff. I'm ready to get back dirt, Kentucky, that kind of stuff.
There it is. He fought through the dust. He fought through the lappers. Wyatt Wilkin back on the box.
Well, there it is, guys, from the number 5 machine himself, Wyatt Wilkin, picking up where we would expect here in 2026, a podium contender, and proving that that's going to be the way things are going to stay.
Yeah, strong performance from Wyatt Wilkin here today. Really having to charge through the pack to get it done as we look at our specialized race recap. As things were getting lined up, we knew there was a lot of anticipation coming in today. This man, 3 for 3 to start out the 2026 season. Didn't expect to see anything different, but he was definitely facing some unique challenges here today. Hunter Hart so quick off the line, got out front, and we saw that insta-banger speed, 60 seconds at a time, but he held it together for the full 2 hours and put on a great performance. Wyatt Wilkin was up into a podium position, but he had heavy pressure from behind from Bryson Neal. Charged from about a mid-pack start, and this is where things really got interesting. He put up a good fight, but Bryson Neal ultimately just continuing to fight. Brandon Owens up in that number 2 spot early on and putting himself in position to battle for a podium throughout. Josh Merritt was up in 3rd early on, Wyatt Wilkin 4th, and Bryson Neal back in the number 5 spot after making some early passes. Here is the battle as it starts or continues to materialize. Bryson Neal just absolutely charging. Wyatt Wilkin continuing to put up the fight, but Hunter Hart out front setting the pace.
And that's how things were going to go for quite some time with Hunter Hart leading the way. But as you can see, Bryson Neal works his way up into that 2nd place spot. And this is where the tide starts changing right here.
Yeah, this is where Hunter Hart really started to have to try to figure out the pace up front. And the guy that was figuring out the pace, not only was it Bryson Neal, but it was Brandon Owens. That trio of riders were able to run 1, 2, and 3, giving us some great racing action. Obviously, we do know that ultimately Bryson Neal would have been a great ride, or a great riding Hunter Hart right here coming into the finish line area.
Well, around the outside makes the pass, but this is where Hunter Hart really showed his mettle, had some grit, a little bit slower pit stop. Bryson Neal having a bit of a gap, but then Hunter Hart making the pass back on Bryson Neal, taking back the point position, but Neal would not be denied here at Camp Coker. Putting his head down, putting in a charge, getting around Hunter Hart. Hart continued to tail for a little bit there, but Bryson Neal able to put in a charge, opening up 2 seconds, then 12 seconds, then 26 seconds, ultimately crossing the finish line with a pretty sizable gap over the 2nd place position of Hunter Hart.
Yeah, able to gain about 25 seconds there in just about half a lap. And then, of course, like we said, the Bidwell Bullet fired off, and he hit the bullseye here today, taking the win at the FMF Camp Coker Bullet.
And he had the fist in the air, too, on the way in. 2 corners early, so that's how you know he was feeling it. Knew that he had a great ride today. Hunter Hart also explaining that little miscue that he had, got that little teeter-totter in the woods there. But, man, great dust stash. On the number 1 of Bryson Neal.
Bryson Neal definitely eating a lot of roost to get this one done here today. But as we take a look here at our top 10 for the day, we see Bryson Neal, Hunter Hart, Wyatt Wilkin was our podium. Jay Shiren holding off a hard-charging Josh Merritt there. 4th, Brandon Owens. 6th, John Glaude Jr. 7th. Stephen Harrell 8th. Adam McGill up into the top 10 there in the 9th place spot. And our XC2 winner, Braxton Gross, rounding out the top 10 overall, guys.
So there it is. That's the way the cookie's going to crumble here at this one. Guys, this is where we normally like to take our big takeaways for the day. Johnny, what do you have for us?
Well, let's start with Walker. He's visiting us for the weekend. Hopefully we'll see him again. First off, so great having you in with us this weekend, Walker. As you've had a chance to kind of see Racer TV up and close and watch the racing action, final thoughts on the day?
I miss it. That's my final thought. It's awesome to be here. It's great to hang out with you guys, but I definitely miss it. As far as racing action goes, man, this track is just so unpredictable, and it can just come up and bite you for sure. Even just the start. The starts in every class seem to have riders upside down. So, yeah, today was, I think, battling the track.
Well, there you have it. So I think for me, the final thoughts on the day, couple things. Brandon Owens is the real deal. Obviously, crossing the line in 6 today, but proving 3 out of the 4 races so far that he is a podium contender. I think we're going to see more of that in 2026. Also, Hunter Hart with a great bounce-back performance after a disappointing round 3. So we know he's a championship contender and a contender for race wins. But I think my biggest takeaway is what is it going to take to stop the Bidwell Bullet? Because Bryson Neal is absolutely on rails in 2026, Jackson.
No doubt about it. My takeaway is going to be Bryson is still human, and somebody else can lead a few laps around here at GNCC. Also, Hunter Hart putting on quite the show today, and I think he's showing he has the speed to pull one of these off.
Absolutely. It's been fun calling the racing action with you guys today. And while we're done racing, at least here for today's Saturday at Camp Coker, we've got plenty more racing action coming up on our RacerTV.com upcoming broadcast. Tomorrow at 12:30, we'll do it all again with our Pro Bike 3-hour race. And then heading ahead about 3 weeks from now on April 18th, we'll have the Dukes, a new round for GNCC. We'll have our Pro ATV racing on Saturday, and then Sunday 4/19, we'll have our Pro Bike race. We'll also have the J-Day coming at you on April 25th from the CGI facility. So catch all that fast-pacing racing action here on RacerTV.com.
Yeah, of course, we would like to thank our executive producer here today, Carrie Russell, our producer, Adam Gordon, OPAG, our director, Don Hampton, our replay artist, Cameron Cotter, our engineer in charge, Jordan McFadden, our second engineer, Jack Renner, our manager, Dan Reinhardt, our official spotter, David Hollywood Kripe, our camera operators, Jack Renner, Mike Nichols, Matt Gabriel, Adam Atkins, Josh Hefner, Adam Arndt, Dave Kelsch, and Dylan Atkins. Of course, our drone pilot, Gabe Scholl, doing a great job today. And on behalf of Zach Cairn, Johnny Gallagher, Walker Fowler, and myself, Jackson Burrell, thanks for watching RacerTV.com.